Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲 on Wattpad. Now let's start. On a cold spring night, one 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲 sat on his chair in his room happily drawing all might while muttering facts about him and his quirk, you know, the total fanboy package. His mom called him for dinner and he went downstairs to stuff his face with food. After dinner, Izuku laid on his bed wondering what it would be like to be a pro hero. Sort of had a dream. More like an illusion, he wanted to become a pro hero like his idol All Might. Even though he didn't have a quirk, he was still determined to do so. Call him crazy, but it's hard to let go of a dream that has been stuck with you ever since he knew the world around him and knew what heroes are. Izuku woke up the following day to his alarm screaming at him to wake up. Groaning, he sat up and rubbed his eyes while stretching, waiting for his brain to fully wake up. After getting confirmation from his brain, he did his daily routine exercise consisting of only 2 push-ups. "Man, my exercise routine is so hardcore, one can only hope I don't get too buff," Izuku thought before going to his bathroom to get ready for school. Inko had woken up before him so that she could get ready for work and also make breakfast for her and her son. As of now, she had finished making breakfast and had served it down to cool a little when her son came downstairs in his uniform all ready to go to school. These days she gets the feeling that her son isn't happy. Call it mother instincts, but the feeling has refused to go away ever since the day her and Izuku went to the quirk doctor. The moment Izuku was deemed quirkless, nothing was the same, even though things appears to be so. As the years went by, the feeling only became stronger, and any time Izuku came home with various bruises on his body, it only reinforces that feeling. She tried to find out from the school about what was happening with her son, but they said he seemed fine during school hours. As if they would keep an eye on him. Heck, they don't even care about him. Why would they, after all their time is too precious to be wasted on monitoring a quirkless nobody? She had tried to get Izuku to open up, but he wouldn't budge, and she doesn't know what else to do. Izuku gave his mom a hug before settling down to eat. "Did you sleep, WL?" she asked. "Yeah, but I kept dreaming about All Might having a secret love child." She chuckles. The only form of joy her son gets these days is from learning about heroes and their quirks. I guess fanboying about a hero before you go to sleep can do that to your brain. Izuku added. Inko's face had suddenly become serious and with a firm voice asked him if anything happened at school. Izuku, already knowing where this is going, was downing his food quickly while sweating. The faster he ate, the faster he could get out of that situation. Inko, knowing what he was doing, asked the question, but with even more seriousness in her tone. "And no, mom, school was okay," he replied. "I didn't ask if school was okay, I asked if anything happened in school specifically to you," she pressed. Izuku ate faster than ever before. She wasn't backing down. "No, mom, nothing happened to me," he said. "Izu." She was cut off. I have to get going, I am done with breakfast." He gave his mom a hug and went out the door. Izuku was at the entrance of his school trying to stay hidden or avoid attention as much as possible, but it was all in vain, as in not more than 5 seconds he entered, his back slammed into the wall with his notebook and the contents in his backpack flying everywhere. He knew who it was without a genius telling him. No, it wasn't Katsuki. He was never this early and his lackeys almost did nothing without him. It was the only person that had the energy to deal with a quirkless person this early morning. To us. Satsuna Tokage. Izuku looked up to see her and was about to speak before he got cut off. Satsuna. Shut up. She barked and slammed him into the wall again, but this time pinning him to the wall with her right hand to look at him. She was a lot stronger than him since she has been training to become a hero, and not to mention Izuku was a bit smallish compared to the required amount of height and stature a boy his age should have, which is fancy for saying Izuku is short. Satsuna-chan wa. I said shut up, she barked again. "I heard from our homeroom teacher yesterday that you are applying for UA. She asked. "Well, why ye?" He didn't get to finish. "So you actually dared to apply?" "For a second I thought you would have learned your lesson and know your place, but I guess you didn't get the hint." Are you trying to compete with me? You will just get hurt or worse dead in the process of being something you are not. She said. For a second Izuku thought he heard a note of concern in her voice, or maybe he is just delirious from having his feet off the ground while being pinned to a wall. She wanted to say more but the bell rang. This is not over yet, she growled before letting him go and storming off. As soon as Izuku hit the floor, he took a deep breath before recomposing himself. Sometimes she can be as scary as Katsuki. He sighed before picking his bag and belongings off the floor and headed to class. In class he couldn't help the feeling that someone was watching him, but he didn't have to wonder for long because he often saw Satsuna staring at him, often with a scowl, but sometimes he saw her just staring at him with an unreadable expression. Class went by and soon it was lunch. Izuku sat in the class for lunch. He preferred it that way, at least that way there was no disturbance. Slam. Never mind. Izuku was bringing out his lunch and his quirk analysis notebook when Satsuna slammed her hand on his desk. I said we were not done yet. She said. What do you want from me, Satsuna-chan? He asked. First off, don't call me that, and second, why did you apply for UA? She asked. Like you, I also want to become a hero, he replied. No, you are not like me. I would be able to come out of a villain fight unharmed and victorious, but you would be dead before it even happened because you are a quirkless weakling. She remarked. Satsuna-chan means Satsuna, I am not a weakling. Again he got cut off. Weaklings are those who have very big ambitions but don't have the power to make it reality, but yet they still go on with it anyways, and eventually end up dead. She yelled. Please Satsuna, hear me out. No, you listen, she interrupts. You can't compete with me or any other hero course applicants because you cannot do what we are doing. With that she snatched the quirk analysis notebook from him and flung it through the window into the lake near the school and stormed off. Izuku stared at the window for a second and then lowered his head and sighed. He should have gotten used to this, but it was still painful. He would go and fish the notebook out later since it's lunchtime and it is not allowed to leave school ground during school hours. After lunch break, Izuku sat in the class paying attention when the bell rang signaling the end of school. Then a Pomeranian in form of a bakugo yelled his name. Oi Deku, come over here and get your daily dose of beatdown so I can feel good about myself. Izuku sighed in exasperation and the rest was history. For them this was an everyday occurrence. He get himself beaten 6 ways to Sunday by his bullies, but the most prominent of them were Katsuki with his lackeys and Satsuna Tokage. Apparently she hate his guts just as much as Katsuki does. Because he was quirkless, because he was different, because he didn't have something everyone had, because of something he couldn't control, he got ostracized and bullied for it. I guess that is how humans are, they single out people that are different from them no matter how mundane it is. Just because Izuku doesn't have a quirk, that doesn't make him less of a human, but society is constructed in such a way that anything outside of normality is instantly criticized if it is not beneficiary to it. After getting beat up, Izuku tried to rearrange his stuff that flew out of his bag when Bakugo and his lackeys were having a good time inflicting damage on him. Everyone were around as the beatdown went down, but none of them even made an effort to stop this, not even the teachers. He was about to grab one of his school notebook off the floor to put in his bag when one of the students kicked it away and continued on his way, not before calling him a loser. Izuku went to pick his notebook from where it was kicked to before making his way home. Izuku walked home after fishing his notebook out of the lake, wondering how he will explain to his mom how new burn marks and bruises appeared on his body. He already tried the excuse of being ran over by a burning truck and he does not think his mom will believe it the second time. She almost did not believe it the first time. Izuku was hoping that his mom would not be around when he got to his doorstep. Nope, he opened the door and there she was in all her glory washing the dishes. Izuku tried to sneak to his room but it was too late. His mom already sensed his presence. She turned around and saw her son in bruises and burn marks and immediately started frantically searching for the first aid while interrogating him. Oh my goodness Izuku, what happened to you? Who did this to you? And do not give me the excuse about a truck on fire running you over, she said while applying first aid on him. Izuku looked at his mom and sighed. He hated seeing his mom like this worrying about him. It is nothing, mom, just had a rough day, that is all. What do you mean it's nothing? Your body is covered in injuries, she said while applying first aid on him. Izuku, if there is something wrong please tell me, Anko said. Izuku flinched at her soft tone and replied with, "Nothing is wrong, Mom, I just had an accident in class." With that he walked to his room. Inko stared at her son retreating form and sighed, "I hate seeing him like this, I just hope he opens up and sort this out." Izuku entered his room and gently shut the door and then plopped on his bed while thinking about the bullying he got because he was quirkless. Flashback: Izuku was packing his stuff in his bag getting ready to go home when Bakugo matched up to him with his lackeys behind him. "Oi, Deku." Izuku winced. "I thought I told you to stay out of my way, then why the heck are you applying for you damn nerd? Do you think you are better than me?" I am not trying to compete with you or anything, it is just that I really wanted to go to UA and become a hero." Izuku replied. Bakugo scoffs. "Don't bother, you will just end up dead," Izuku shrieked. "Because you are a quirkless Deku." Kaken I. Bakugo cuts him off. "If you want to become a hero so bad, why don't you take a swan dive off a rooftop and hope for a quirk in your next life?" And with that Bakugo walks off with his lackeys smirking. The teacher watching this interaction all the while doing nothing because Izuku was a quirkless kid. End of flashback. Izuku's brows narrowed. He is right, I will just end up being useless in the field. I know what I must do. Izuku changed from his school uniform to casual clothes and stepped outside his room. He heard his mom talking with someone on the phone and made a beeline to the door and yelled, "Mom, I'm gonna take a swan dive off a rooftop, I'll be back for dinner." His mom didn't respond for obvious reasons, and with that Izuku walked out the door. Minutes later, data PID 077DF568B8BB18184685322. Anko cuts the call with whoever the heck was on the other side and continue with what she was doing when a thought crossed her mind. Izuku hasn't come out of his room. Then her pupils shrunk and her eyes widened in horror and realization and practically flew out the door like a ninja turtle. Back to Izuku. He was walking down the sidewalk looking for potential building that can guarantee his death when he heard an explosion from afar, then ran to it. On getting there he saw a sludge villain basically digesting Bakugo. "Oh great, I am planning my own demise while Kaken is here playing hose tag. Wait, he's actually in trouble. I have to go save him." Without thinking, Izuku's body automatically moved to save him. "Hey kid, what are you doing? You will get yourself killed." Death Arms yelled at him. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐸 tried to stop Izuku with his quirk, but it was no use. The boy was too fast, and in a matter of seconds Izuku was already clawing at the sludge monster while Bakugo was yelling at him to stay away. At that moment Izuku didn't know what he was doing, but all he knew is that he wouldn't be able to forgive himself if he stood still. While this was happening, All Might watched, shocked at the boy's action, and decided to step in, feeling inspired by the boy. If a powerless boy was able to go beyond every limitations, overcome every fear to save someone despite the situation screaming danger, who was him the symbol of peace, not to overcome some stupid 3 hours limit. All Might buffed up, power walked to the villain and Texas smashed the sludge villain out of existence. Bystander 1. Whoa, he just ate that villain for breakfast. Rando, and with just one punch. Bystander 2. Changing the weather in the process. Bystander 3. He really is the symbol of peace. Meanwhile Izuku's mind exploded, from struggling with a sludge monster to standing in front of All Might. His 14-year-old brain couldn't handle it and his head was about to explode due to the sheer awesomeness and greatness All Might presence brought. All Might was about to leap away when Izuku, still in a daze, held on to his leg. "Oh no you don't." It was when All Might was in the air that he felt the extra weight on his leg. All Might looked at his leg to see that a green-haired kid was holding on to it, and he immediately landed to the nearest rooftop. "Hey kid, why did you do that? You might have injured yourself." I am sorry, All Might." Izuku stuttered after regaining his composure from a near-death experience for the second time that day. Not that it matters anyways, seeing that he was on his way to planning his own demise before he ran into the sludge villain. All Might took a good look at the kid and realized that it was the same boy from the sludge villain incident and asked for his name. "What is your name, kid?" "And my name is Izuku. Do you want an autograph?" Well no, I mean yes, but first I want to ask you a question." "You can ask, young Izuku." I just wanted to ask if a quirkless person like me can become a hero." Meanwhile, when this interaction was going on, they failed to notice a figure present in that same rooftop. He is quirkless and yet he still moved to 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, that boy in the villain's grasp. He really has the heart and makings of a true hero. Size, I would have given him all for one, but I already gave it to young 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐵𝐲. He still wants to become a hero. I can't tell him that it is possible without a quirk. He will end up being eaten alive. All Might thought. Well, young Izuku, I don't think it is possible for a quirkless person to become a hero. You saw how that boy with an explosive quirk was struggling with that villain. Imagine if a quirkless person was in his place, he wouldn't stand a chance. All Might wasn't trying to be a dream crusher. Izuku could see that, but it was still disappointing. He was running away from reality. He didn't want to face it, but this encounter with All Might was a reality check. All Might couldn't bear to see Izuku's expression, but it had to be done. All Might spoke up. I have to go, young Izuku, but I just want to let you know that I wouldn't hesitate to help or support you in any way that I can. With that, All Might leaped away. All Might meant what he said. He had a feeling that this wouldn't be the last time they would meet. Back with 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴, she was running around while calling Izuku's phone in a desperate attempt to find him, but his line wasn't going through. When she stopped for a sec to take a look at her surroundings, wondering where her son could be, when she noticed that the area she was in was pretty damaged, she asked a passerby what happened here. From what she gathered from the passerby, there was a villain attack right in this very area, and she was afraid that the villain could have killed her son before he even get the chance to kill himself. Worrying for what her son will do to himself wasn't enough. Now she has to worry about a villain attacking him. She spotted a concentration of first responders and medical experts and went up to them. Excuse me, but you shouldn't be here if you aren't injured. I am looking for my son. He has green fluffy hair and green eyes, a diamond-shaped freckle and a forever petrified expression on his face. Is he here? What is the name of your son, ma'am? 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐻 was not far off being taken care of and being checked for injuries. He heard the commotion happening close and went to investigate. My son's name is Izuku. What the heck? 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐻 said in confusion. 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻 turned and saw 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐻. Auntie 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻, what are you doing here? Katsuki-kun, have you seen Izuku? She said in hope. That nerd should have been back home by now. What are you talking about? He hasn't come back home since he said he was going to take a swan dive of a roof, and I am afraid that he has really done it, she said while fighting back tears. The first responder 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻 was talking to before listening to their conversation almost had a slide. He wondered what in My Hero Academia was going on and what pushed her son to do so. Meanwhile, 𝐒𝐻𝐻's pride had given up on him and a truckload of guilt had ran him over. He didn't have time to recompose himself as 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻 noticed the BLD disappear from his face, and at that point she noticed something was suspicious but decided to question it later and spoke. Katsuki, have you seen my son? Izuku. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 stutters. Now 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻 knew there was something wrong because 𝐒𝐻𝐻 never calls Izuku by his name, it was always nerd. She spoke up again. Do you know what is going on or where he is? 𝐒𝐻𝐻 was this close to blowing himself up. How will he face his aunt if Izuku actually jumped? He spoke. I was attacked by a sludge villain when Izuku jumped in to save me, but what he was doing wasn't helping much until All Might came in to save us. 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻 was relieved and afraid at the same time. Relieved because it was good to know that her son wasn't killed by villains and there was still hope. Afraid because he was still going to kill himself anyways. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, after regaining some composure, yelled, Come on, let's go look for that dang nerd before he actually do it. It wasn't that long I saw him, there is still time. And with that he dashed off in no particular direction. The first responder, having remembering who Izuku was from their conversation, spoke to 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐻. We will conduct a search party, but first you have to give us more information about your son. The scene changes to Izuku on the rooftop. Izuku was still on the rooftop digesting what All Might said. Every word that came out of that man's mouth was true and Izuku knew it. Izuku looked around him to see that he was on a rooftop, just what he was looking for. He walked up to the edge and jumped, but the impact never came. He felt someone holding the back of his clothes. Surprised, he looked to see a guy 7 years older than him in a lab coat preventing him from death. Hey kid, what do you think you are doing? That is dangerous. The mysterious figure All Might and Izuku failed to notice intervened. Izuku stared at the boy preventing him from rooftop diving. The boy spoke. This is not the way to go about this. The boy pulled Izuku away from the edge and lets go of his clothes. I heard the whole thing between you and All Might. Izuku's eyes widen. My name is 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 and I can understand where you are coming from because I am also quirkless. Izuku's eyes widen even wider. But jumping of that roof wouldn't change anything. Why you are quirkless too? Izuku stuttered. Yes, I came from a family of quirkless people. At this point Izuku's eyes were the size of dinner plates. So there is a whole family suffering the same fate as me? Izuku thought, sad and also intrigued, wanting to know how they are handling the problems that comes with being quirkless. Izuku and 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 got to talking and Izuku discovered that his elder sister died while encountering her first villain. According to him, his sister wanted to become a hero, but all the hero schools rejected her application because she was quirkless and so resulted to being a vigilante but died in the hands of the first villain she faced. At this point both Izuku and 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 were crying, Izuku because they suffered so much for something they had no control over, and 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 for obvious reasons. After her death, somehow the news spread around the neighborhood that a quirkless person died while intentionally fighting a villain, trying to be a hero. We became the laughing stock all over again. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 clenched his fist. Instead of mourning, they were laughing. She died while being a hero, but all they did was laugh, all because she was quirkless. The teasing, bullying, pointing, name-calling, pranking became worst. My junior sister got the worst of it because she was the easier prey. Things continued like that until we could no longer take it and we moved to island, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 said with a single tear drop rolling down his left cheek, while Midoriya on the other hand had geysers coming out of his eyes. After we settled in island, I had already finished high school. So I chose to study biomechanical engineering with the aim of building a device that could help quirkless people. There I met a girl named Melissa Shield who has a vast knowledge on technology and apparently whose father is the leading scientist of island. I told her what I wanted to accomplish, so she also offered to help me because she was also quirkless too, so she knew the hardship that came with it. So we started a joint project. Years went by and we adjusted in island. After some years I was done with college and I and Melissa came up with the 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾, the artificial Quirk impersonator. So far we were almost done with the project when me and my family had to move back to Japan because my younger sister wanted to enter UA's support course, so I couldn't finish the project with Melissa. I had to finish it on my own. Izuku blinks as he processed the information. Whoa, you went to island and you build a device that could grant people quirks? That is so cool. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 chuckled at his amazement. He took a good look at the green-haired boy at the front of him and realized there were various burn marks and bruises on his body and his brows narrows. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 spoke up. Izuku, can I ask you something? Izuku nods in response. Where did you get those injuries on your body? Izuku tense up for a sec before responding. He didn't want to lie, so he told him the truth. I got these from my bullies. Let me guess, because you are quirkless. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 said. Izuku nods and told him everything that has happened to him from the point he was declared quirkless to how he ended up in this very rooftop. How his best friend turned into a bully the moment he discovered that he was quirkless, how his classmate and formal best friend bullies him in broad daylight but the teachers seeing this doing nothing about it, how he applied for UA and still wanted to become a hero but he was laughed at by his classmates and told by his formal best friend to take a swan dive of a roof, and how he almost actually took a swan dive off this same rooftop. Now it was 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾's turn to cry. The both were a crying mess as tissues were being distributed. It all made sense to 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾, why he wanted to jump. It wasn't what All Might said that pushed him to do so, because everything that All Might said was true. The reason for him to jump wasn't All Might, it started the moment he was discovered quirkless. All Might's words were just the cherry on top, even though they were true. Few moments later they sat there in awkward silence. Why wouldn't the atmosphere become awkward? I mean, they just exchanged sob stories to absolute strangers on a rooftop. The situation couldn't get more awkward. Can I scan you? 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 spoke. What? I said, can I scan you? Why? 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾, it's just that I was working on the 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾, and it requires a specific BLD type and there aren't much quirkless people around. With the world's population consisting of only 20% of quirkless people, the chances of quirkless people having the required BLD type is slim. Sadly, me and my family nor Melissa have the required BLD type. So you want to scan me to know if I have the required BLD type? Izuku asked. Exactly, is it gonna hurt? 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐾 chuckles. It will only tickle. Is it going to be weird? We already exchanged sob stories on a rooftop, it's already weird. Hawaki replied, fair point. Few awkward moments later. Ha SpongeBob. After some giggling from Izuku and some beeps from Hawaki's scanning device, the result was out. Hawaki's jaws drops. I can't believe it, your BLD type meets the requirement. Izuku, do you know what this means? What does it mean? It means that you can finally become a hero. Izuku, wait, what? Hawaki, if I give you the Q, I will give you an artificial quirk because the Q, I can accommodate your BLD type. Izuku, what is going on? All we need to do is just to insert the Q, I nano chip in your pinky toe joint area. Izuku spoke after figuring out what was going on. No and no. I just can't. What do you mean? Hawaki spoke. This is your chance to become a hero. Weren't you listening when I told you the odds of the Q? I working on a quirkless person, but it just so happens that the Q, I didn't reject your BLD type. But you have been working on that project for so long and I still don't know you that much. I mean, we just met and I barely know your name. Izuku started muttering at inhuman speed, but Hawaki could keep up. If you are worried about the amount of hard work I put into the project, it was much, but I still have the prototype and blueprint of the Q, I and the technology that will enable the Q, I to accommodate all BLD type isn't available to the world anyways, so that is why I am going overseas to further my study on biomechanics so I can fix the problem. I have about a week before I travel abroad. We can get to know each other if you feel we are still strangers. But why are you helping me? It's simple, Izuku, because I can. Isn't that what being a hero is all about? People like me and you are the reason I do what I do, and I am not going to give up on the chance of helping someone when I know I can help them. So please, Izuku, let me help you become a hero for me, for my sister, for my family, and for all the quirkless people. Izuku decided to take up his offer. He is right, I have to become a hero for all those other people who wanted but couldn't. I don't want all their BLD sweat, tears, and sacrifice to be in vain. Are you having an internal monologue? Hawaki teases. You don't know me, Izuku said while trying to keep a straight face and failing miserably. So, Izuku, do you accept? Yes. Good, let's start procedure. Can I ask you a question? Izuku asked while being led to a table on the rooftop he failed to notice the whole time he was there. If you are going to ask what a table was doing on a rooftop, I was working on the Q, I before you and All Might showed up. Hawaki interjected. No, it's not about that. I wanted to ask if the Q, I can give artificial quirks to people with quirks. No, we specifically designed it for quirkless people. If the Q, I is to be done on someone already with a quirk, the presence of a quirk will interfere with the job of the Q, I, thereby causing long-term damage to the genes. Hawaki answered. Because replacing something that was never missing could cause catastrophic consequences to the body. Izuku finished for him. Exactly, Hawaki said while strapping Izuku to the table. Hawaki, is this gonna tickle? Izuku asked, unsure. No, it's gonna hurt. A lot. Wait, what? Izuku screamed as he felt a sharp pain from his pinky toe. What the? I will give you my Pokemon cards if you stop. After 5 minutes of playing torture the cinnamon roll, the procedure was completed. I wish I never met you, Izuku said while regretting his life decisions. Stop being a big baby. Is this how you're gonna scream like a little girl when facing ferocious villains? People will just think you are a defenseless citizen rather than a hero. Hawaki tease. Izuku looked at his pinky toe expecting to see a mess, only to see that it was fine, no trace of BLD or any sign of a scar. Hawaki, knowing what he was going to ask, answered. If you are wondering what happened to your pinky toe, the Q, I gives its host regenerative ability to some extent, but cannot heal extreme injuries such as loss of limbs or life-threatening injuries. It can only stabilize the body to an extent. Although this cannot be considered a quirk, it is just a coping mechanism for the Q, I to ensure the safety of its host that me and Melissa programmed. Izuku wiggled his toes one last time to confirm Hawaki's words. All the pain he felt had disappeared, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was inside. Must be the Q, nanochip Hawaki was talking about, Izuku thought. Hawaki's face became serious. Now I have to tell you something about the 𝐮𝐻. Okay, what is it? Hawaki, the 𝐮𝐻. I cannot function properly if its host is under stress. Izuku, okay. Why? Hawaki, stress is a major factor that hinders the work of the 𝐮𝐻. It can even disable one's artificial quirk temporarily if the body is stressed for too long. Izuku, okay. I got it. The artificial quirk should manifest. I'm right about now. Hawaki said while looking at an imaginary watch on his wrist. Suddenly Izuku felt a tingly sensation all over his body. Whoa. Good, you felt it. Now let me scan you to see the quirk you got. It says here you got an S. Rank teleportation quirk. Izuku was excited to get an artificial quirk and a powerful one at that, but there was one thing though. Why teleportation? According to the scan you can teleport to other dimension, teleport people or objects, and can also teleport object no matter the size, whether it be at a molecular level or colossal scale. So Izuku, what do you want to name your artificial quirk? Hawaki asked. Izuku, can move anyone and anything anywhere. I'll name it Divine Chariot. After agreeing to meet Hawaki on the same rooftop and testing out his new artificial quirk, he dashed home. Seeing his phone, he saw 20 missed call from his mom. He felt terrible for making his mom worry. He called her back to tell her he was home. Back with 𝐮𝐬, she was talking to an officer, giving him information about her son so they could conduct a search party for him. When her phone rang, she was relieved to hear her son's voice on the other side, and she felt even better when he told her he was home. Cutting the call and giving a nod to the officer, she cancelled the requested search party, stood up and went home. The officer, understanding the situation, nodded and went away. Getting home, 𝐮𝐬 saw her son and went in for a hug. Mom. Izuku could only look at his mom in sadness and return the hug. Are you feeling all right? 𝐮𝐬 asked. Well, he struggled with a sludge monster, almost dived off a rooftop, heard the saddest story ever, cried for a total stranger, and was given an artificial quirk all in one day, so well his mental health has never been better. I'm fine, Mom. Izuku told his mom everything that happened. At first she didn't believe it, but when Izuku teleported his phone away and teleported it right back, she was surprised. Her son was full of surprises. She left her son alone for a day only for him to come back with an artificial quirk. Who knows what will happen when she leaves her son alone for a week? She was happy for her son nevertheless. It was satisfying to see the look on her son's face knowing that he could now fulfill his dreams, and it was even more satisfying to know that he wouldn't jump off a rooftop anytime soon. Agreeing to put all of this behind them, 𝐮𝐬 headed to the kitchen to prepare dinner. It was almost a week that Izuku got his artificial quirk, and he has been meeting up with Hawaki the same time and location. Right now he was on his way to meet Hawaki for the last time because the next day he would be traveling. Telling his mom goodbye, Izuku teleported to the rooftop. Little time skip. Izuku's POV after discovering what the 𝐮𝐬 and my artificial quirk could offer. We sat on the ground of the rooftop. I spoke. You know I'm going to miss you when you travel. Is that so? Well, me too. Hawaki replied before he looked like he remembered something. He gave me a piece of paper and handed it to me. This is Melissa's number. Give her a call if there is something wrong with the 𝐮𝐬 or your artificial quirk. He stands up and stretched his hands to me, and I took it, lifting myself off the ground. Well, Izuku, I have to go home now to prepare for tomorrow. But will I see you again? To be honest, Izuku, I don't know. I'm gonna stay there for a long time, but I promise you I will visit when I come back. Now teleport me to the sidewalk. I'm too lazy to take the stairs. With that I teleported us downstairs and said our goodbyes and went our separate ways, not before giving him one last glance to see that he was also doing the same with a sad look on his face, and then we nodded to each other and departed ways. Next day I was training for the UA entrance exams in 10 months' time. I still have to discover more about my artificial quirk. In these past few days I found out that any time I want to teleport something or someone, including myself, something reminiscent of a spotlight from no particular direction will shine on the object or person I intend to teleport for a brief second. Even tried teleporting something at night in the dark, but there is still that flash of light. It might become a problem when I'm trying to go undercover or on a stealth mission. It is going to get me in trouble by revealing my location to the villains. But for some people it might be considered flashy. Well, there is nothing I can do about it. Shrugging my shoulders, I sat down on the floor where I was training. I was still thinking about my new artificial quirk while absent-mindedly looking for my water bottle when a hand gave it to me. Third-person POV Izuku, thank you VR. Looks up, he saw a face with blonde messy buns, sharp fang-like teeth and yellow eyes staring right back at him intently, his face inches away in an uncomfortable position. So he did the most logical thing and decided to wait it out and continued drinking his water. Minutes later, SEK. Slurp. Slurp. Izuku had finished his water 5 minutes ago and he was drinking nothing but air, but the face was still there. Deciding he couldn't take it anymore, he spoke. See, can I help you? I think you are so cool. Izuku, TT thanks. My name is Himiko Toga and I like watching you train. Can I have some of your BLD? Izuku, what? No, I'm going home. Toga, can I follow you home? No, my house is in the other side of Mizudafu. He lied. I love trekking, we can trek together there. She excitedly said. Oh, and for some reason I just became homeless. He lied again. Toga, yeah, me too, we can be homeless buddies. Having enough of this, Izuku teleports away. Toga, yeah, I'll see you later. After teleporting to his room, Izuku sighed to himself. It was times like these that he was grateful to have a quirk, and a very helpful one at that. Well, I guess I will have to avoid training there and as much as possible avoid using my artificial quirk in public areas, he thought to himself. Months later, Izuku stood at the entrance of UA having a strong resolve. He wasn't gonna let anyone or anything stop him from becoming the hero that will carry on the dreams of those who wanted but couldn't, not even an H-shaped school. Walking along, he saw a stone on the floor. Now normal people wouldn't even acknowledge it, but Izuku, being far from a normal person, decided to trip on it. Izuku, let me just trip on this real quick. Trips on it, but instead of falling he floats in the air. Izuku, this is so embarrassing. The girl responsible spoke up. Sorry for using my quirk on you, but it would have been bad luck if you had trip. Izuku, thanks. She walks away and soon after composing himself he was on his merry way. Present mic, let me hear you say Yoa. Students in the room, absolute silence. Izuku, yeah, Bakugo, shut up you damn nerd. Present mic, start sweating. For the practical part of this exam you will be fighting 3 types of robots with point value. For each robot you take out you get the point value assigned to them. After that, Izuku was in front of the mock city, whistle blows, everyone, blinks. Present mic. What are you doing? In life you don't get countdown. Go. Izuku along with everyone started charging at the robots. Izuku started teleporting robots left and right, some he teleported underwater while some in an active volcano with flashes of light whenever he does so, trying to rack up more point. Anyone could tell that Izuku was causing mass destruction from a mile away. In the monitor room with the UA staff, they were watching the examinees. This year's batch of examinees looks promising. Aizawa said. Yes, but their true test is about to begin. Nizu said and presses a big juicy button that looks like it could destroy the world. All Might was staring at Izuku intently. Wasn't he the quirkless kid from the sludge villain incident? All Might was happy that Izuku had applied to become a hero, but there was one thing though. Wasn't he quirkless? Then what is this power he is displaying? In the examination area there were mini earthquake before out of the ground came a giant robot towering over buildings and destroying anything that was in its way. Examinees were running away from the comically large bucket of bolt while some were already caught up in the destruction it caused just by moving. Izuku, seeing this, teleported himself on top of the robot's shoulders and teleported its head away and teleported right back to the ground in one swift motion. The examinees and the UA staff that were watching this gawked. He took out that giant without breaking a sweat. After taking out the gigantic lump of metal and landing on the ground in a dramatic way, Izuku saw a short girl stuck under a cluster of heavy rocks and she looked injured. He teleported to where she was and offered to help. Izuku, are you injured? Yes, and stuck apparently. Shroom. Izuku, you are bleeding rapidly, let me take care of that. Teleports away the rubbles and teleports the first aid in his house into his hands. He applied the first aid and dressed her wound skillfully like he has been doing it for years, which is not surprising. Years of bullying from Bakugo with his lackeys and Setsuna had helped. Thank you, Shroom, she said while getting a good look at him. Izuku, don't mention it, he said while smiling warmly at her. Izuku, seeing that someone needed help again, went away while saying bye to her. Izuku went over to the person who needed help and saw a really short boy with ball for hair screaming at the top of his lungs like a little girl. He was stuck under a destroyed pile of metal, but there was no form of injury on his body. Izuku teleports the metal off him. Are you all right? Boy with ball for hair, yeah, thanks. He was a bit disappointed that a girl didn't come to save him. Whistle blows present mic. All right, little listeners, time's up. Those of you who are injured go to Recovery Girl, and those of you who aren't go home. Your results will be mailed to you a week from now. 1 week later, Izuku was waiting near his mailbox. Whether he slept there or not is a topic for another day. When the mailman arrived at his doorstep, Izuku was restraining himself from pouncing on him. Snatching the letter from the mailman's hands, Izuku bolted to his room like he was being chased by a ghost in a haunted house. Sitting on his chair in his room, he tore open the letter and a disc fell out from it onto his desk. After rolling around and balancing itself on the desk, it revealed a hologram of All Might in a suit. All Might's hologram. I am here as a projection to tell you your result, young 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐚𝐫𝐲. Your score on the written exams were outstanding. Now for your practical exams you gained 35 points, but there is also a secret point system called rescue points. It is basically the UA staff members judging you to see if you rescue someone in danger, and you, my friend, met our expectation. Now do you think that UA, the most prestigious hero school, would be able to resist such heroic act of selflessness? I mean, that is the bane of being a hero. With 30 points each from the 2 examinees you rescued combined with the points you gained from taking out all those robots, you summed up a total of 95 points. It is a great honor for me to welcome you to the hero course, young 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐚𝐫𝐲. I hope to see you again, as I will also become a teacher in UA. Welcome to your hero academia, young Izuku. Izuku. Bulbum disc self-destructs. First day of school, Izuku walked down the hallway to his class, a nervous wreck. After he bumped into someone, he looked up to see a pink-haired girl with goggles dragging a duffel bag almost twice her size with various gadgets and machinery in it. Pinky, hey, watch it, you could have damaged my babies. Izuku, I am sore. Wait, are there actual babies in that bag? Is it even legal, Pinky? Chuckles, no silly, they're my inventions and you could have damaged them. Izuku, phew. I am so sorry. Wait, did you say inventions? You must be in the support course. That's so cool, I can't wait to see what you've invented. It was rare for people to praise her for her gadgets, but here a stranger was doing so. Even though he didn't know the tendency of her gadget exploding, it was still nice to get praises from someone other than her parents in fear of her exploding something up when experimenting on her invention. Poor Izuku, he has no idea how horrible that is going to turn out. With a glimmer in her eyes, she said, really? Maybe I could show you later, but for now I am running late. Izuku, my bad, let me help you. Which class are you in? Pinky, class 1H. Why, Izuku teleports himself, her and her inventions to class 1H. Pinky gets in his face. Whoa, your Quirk is so cool. Izuku sweats tea, thanks. I have tea to go now, see you around. Teleports in front of class 1A door. Izuku opens the door to see an uptight blue-haired male who looked like he has never broken a single rule in his life, reprimanding someone, but that wasn't the issue though, it was who he was reprimanding. Yep. It was the living dynamite himself in the flesh. Izuku knew that the probability of a normal high school year flew out the window the moment he opened the door. Blue hair, get your feet off the desk, Bakugo. You can't tell me what to do with my feet, mechanic. Blue hair. It is a disrespect to the craftsmanship and the upperclassmen of this property. Bakugo, out of my way or I will end you. Blue hair, you dare threaten me, your classmate. When Izuku made his presence known, the students who recognized him from the entrance exam gathered around him, including the blue hair. Red hair. I remember you, you were the one that took out that giant robot? That was so manly. My name is Ijiro Kirishima, girl with pink skin. Yeah, you were so cool. My name is Mina Ishido. Bakugo, do you think you are better than me? Fight M. Deku. Blue-haired male. I don't think we've met properly. My name is Ida Tenya. Izuku was getting overwhelmed. These kids are so loud. Time to practice my intimidation skills. Aizawa thought to himself. If you are here to make friends, I suggest you pack your bags and leave. Aizawa said from his sleeping bag by the door. Class. Aizawa, it took you all 8 seconds to quiet down, as future heroes' time management is important. I am your homeroom teacher, Shoda Aizawa. Glass. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐚𝐫𝐲. I know it's sudden but put this on and meet me in Gym Gamma. He said after emptying a juice box in one slurp and bringing out a set of PE uniform from his sleeping bag. The students were now gathered in Gym Gamma in the PE uniforms. Kirishima, a Quirk apprehension test. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, you guys are going to perform a series of physical exercise involving your Quirk's 𝐒𝐮𝐴, but what about the entrance ceremony and the orientations? 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, heroes don't have time for such leisurely events. 𝐒𝐮𝐴, what 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, how far was your softball throw in middle school? 𝐒𝐮𝐴, 69 meters. Why 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, hands him a ball. I want you to step in the circle and throw this ball as far as you can while using your Quirk. 𝐒𝐮𝐴 walks into the circle and throws the ball using his Quirk but not before yelling die 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, 705. 2 meters everyone. Whoa, so we get to use our Quirk Kirishima, as expected from 𝐸𝐴. This sounds fun 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴. Fun. I hope you are not planning to spend the rest of your 3 years here in UA having fun. You know what, I am going to expel anyone who placed last in this test. Students, what 𝐒𝐮𝐴 be, but that's not fair, it's just our first day here. No, even if it's not our first day it's still not fair 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, fair. You think that natural disaster, BLD thirsty murderers or power-hungry villains is fair. This is UA and our selling point is freedom, which applies to the teachers too, so show me that it's no mistake that you are here and go beyond plus ultra style. Get ready for 3 years of hell here in UA. In the 50 meters dash all Izuku had to do was activate his Quirk and it was over. It took him 0.00003 seconds to get to the finish line. Everyone, WhatIf, remarkable Keminari, he is amazing Momo. I mean all he has to do is just to activate his Quirk for the standing long jump. He didn't really use the pole. All he did was to run with the pole and at the last second before takeoff he teleported into the air and teleported right down while standing for the side-to-side step. He just teleported from one lane to another gracefully. Tsuyu, incredible ribbit Keminari, he is a machine Kirishima, I know right, so manly Bakugo, He is just a useless Deku for the grip strength test. People thought that his Quirk wouldn't be able to help him there but they were wrong. Bakugo, try passing this test BS Desu. Ribbit, I don't see him passing this one. Todoroki, I agree, but Izuku surprised them by teleporting a heavy-weighted gauntlet in his hands and wearing it before gripping it. It read 530 kg. Bakugo, damn you Deku, you are not better than me. Shoji, outstanding Momo, that is quite resourceful. Why are they passing this test so easily? Have I gone soft? No, I refuse to believe it. But there is something up with this green-haired kid though. I have noticed that I can't feel the aura I feel when I use my Quirk on someone. Almost like he doesn't have one. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 thought. It was time for Izuku to do his ball throw. The sit-toe touch and the upper body workout were completed. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 was getting ready to use his Quirk on Izuku when he threw the ball. Izuku threw the ball into the air and teleported it in MIT air to an even further distance. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, 2358. 4 kilometers student. Love. So far Kirishima, he even beat Bakugo's score. Bakugo, oh no you don't, Deku explain yourself, you are supposed to be a Quirkless Deku, then what is this power? Izuku, Kaken I Bakugo ran to him while readying explosions in his hands but was intercepted by 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 capture tool. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, you guys should stop making me use my Quirk, I'm going to get dry eyes, dang it. After the test the students changed out of their PE uniform and were now in the class listening to 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, after determining the results of your test I'm now gonna show you guys at once rather than individually so as not to waste time. Shows them their results via projection. Izuku was relieved to see his name on the number 1 spot right before Momo's, who took the number 2 spot. Feeling sad he looked at Mineta, who was crying while packing his bags getting ready to be expelled because he placed last in the test. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, I was lying about the whole expulsion thing. Whole class, what? You monster. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, it was a rational deception to trick you all into giving it your all. Mineta, my whole life has been a lie. Kirishima, well I'd take up the challenge anytime. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, when you are done with class pick up the curriculum for this semester. Next day in class it wasn't exciting for Izuku to begin with, it was least expected from a hero school of high caliber such as UA. In the morning, English with present mic is something you don't see every day. It was really hard to keep up with someone who's yelling and teaching you at the same time and his energy is through the roof. Mathematics with ectoplasm was a bit awkward. He had his hands in his trench coat pocket the whole time, while art history with midnight was distracting to say the least. Classes with Snipe was scary because he carried his guns with him. It's really hard to concentrate when he kept pointing his gun at whoever asked or was asked a question, and it didn't help that 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐴 warned him not to accidentally shoot any student again, but he tried to defend himself by saying, how was I supposed to know that practicing with my guns blindfolded in a class full of students was a bad idea? And after that the whole of class 1A was on edge and avoided being at the other side of his gun. During break Izuku was eating lunch Rush's food while sitting alone, just how he likes it, when Mina came to drag him to a table where Uraraka, Ida, Bakugo, Kaminari and Kirishima were sitting. Izuku was sweating while trying to avoid eye contact with Bakugo, who was giving him death stares. Kaminari, Midoriya. My name is Kaminari Bakugo. Why you wanna know his name? Dunce face Kirishima. Be nice Bakugo. You killed it in the Quirk apprehension test Midoriya. Mina, yeah, you were crushing it Izuku. Thanks guys, but I was only doing my best and I'm sure that you guys also did wonderful in the test. So modest. So manly. Kirishima said while wiping away imaginary tears. Bakugo, are you looking down on me? Deku, this test proves nothing nerd, I will destroy you in the battleground. Izuku, Kaken, I didn't mean to beat your score in the test. I am sure you are much better than me in the battleground Bakugo. Mina. Midoriya, don't say that you have to have confidence in yourself Kirishima. Yeah bro, just ignore Bakugo. What was that? Rocky Road Ida. Yes, I must agree with Mina. It is good to have confidence in yourself as an aspiring hero. It will show that you have everything under control and it is a good trait to have for putting people at ease in the midst of panic. Uraraka? Yeah Ida. I must say, your result in the test was incredible, especially in the 50 meters dash. Uraraka, my favorite was the ball throw. After that statement the bell rang signaling the end of break and the student went to their next class. Next day the students of class 1A were going about their day. Toru, Jairu and Mina were talking with Toru, reminding them of her existence every 5 minutes due to her quirk. Tsuyu was telling her friends to call her Tsu, Mineta was reading Ika tactics, Izuku was doing what Izuku does, Siro and Kaminari were exchanging Pokemon cards like drag dealers, with Ida reprimanding them while making chopping hand motions. Bakugo was yelling at any living organism and 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐴 was sleeping in his sleeping bag without a care in the world when a voice boomed over the class. The voice, I am coming through the door like a normal person. Kirishima, I am willing to bet my entire savings that is not a normal person. All Might made a dramatic entry with a pose and his signature smile. Kirishima, whoa. It's All Might in his Silver Age costume. Jairu, so it's true. All Might is really gonna be a teacher at UA. As you all know, I am All Might and I would be taking you guys Hero Basic Training, or Hero Training 101 for short. He said before pressing a button at the side of the board, revealing a hidden compartment that held 20 suitcases with their costume in it. All Might, due to the Quirk registry form you filled along with the costume design requirement, your costume are made to accommodate your quirks. Put your costumes on and meet me in Gym Gamma for your hero training class. The students grabbed their respective suitcases and headed to their locker room to change. After some dramatic poses in their hero costume, the students headed out to Gym Gamma in style like they just robbed a Halloween store or something. All Might, they say the clothes make the man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for your combat training. Haha, All Might had to restrain himself from doubling down with laughter at the sight of Izuku's costume, which was a blatant homage to the blonde hero. After All Might internally calmed down, he continued. This is combat training and you all will be put to the test. Ida, we are at a training field, does this mean we are going to destroy more robot? All Might, no, we are going to go 2 steps ahead. Indoor training. Everyone knows that there are villain fight outside, but true villains stay in the shadows. Backroom deals, raids and hostage situation take place indoors, so the purpose of this exercise is to let you know what to do in this situation. Ida, but how are we going to be paired up? Momo, is there a threat of expulsion like Aizawa-sensei? Bakugo, can we just blow up our enemies? Aoyama, doesn't this cape look fabulous on me? All Might was at the edge of having a panic attack from the amount of questions thrown at him as he desperately searched his book for answers. After a while, All Might answered all their questions. All Might pulls out a box. People will be paired according to the letter of cards one picks inside this box. No, nobody will be expelled unless you blow your enemies up. And yes, young 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐵, that cape looks fantastic on you. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐵's head began to swell at the compliment while the rest of the students picked a card like normal people. Izuku went to pick a card and looked at his pairing. Since it was letters, he didn't know who was his partner or foe. Well, it looks like we are bearing up, Toru said while gently nudging Izuku's forearm. Wait, you're my partner? He asked. Toru, yep, Izuku, nice Toru, I know, right Izuku, can you tell me about your quirk, Toru? No problem. The two began talking as they headed to the monitor room to observe the first match. Meanwhile, Bakugo was fuming because he wasn't going to get the chance to strangle Izuku with his bare hands, and he was paired with Sonic the Ding-Dang Hedgehog. Soon it was Izuku's match, and him and Toru were given a 5-minute head start as heroes while the villains set up, so they were waiting. Toru, so Midoriya, what is the plan? Izuku, I was thinking. The timer went off and the heroes entered the building. Izuku teleported away while Toru went to look for the bomb. Izuku put 2 fingers to his earpiece and said, I found the bomb. It's located in the 3rd floor at the second to the last door to the east of you. I got it, Toru said into her earpiece. She found the door. She calmly entered the door to see nobody in there. You know, entering into a trap like that is really risky, 𝐒𝐮𝐻 said before closing the door and putting capture tape on her. I agree with you, she said before her hand flew to her earpiece and yelling, Midoriya now. Before 𝐒𝐮𝐻 could comprehend what was going on, Izuku with a flash of light teleported directly in front of the bomb and touched it. The hero team wins, the speaker booms. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 released Toru and she went to Izuku. Men, you got us really good. Just when I thought we had you on the ropes. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 said as Izuku and Toru high-five. Flashback. Toru, so Midoriya, what is the plan? Izuku, I was thinking maybe you'll just enter the room where the bomb is held as soon as we find it without going invisible. Toru, but what if I walk into a trap? Izuku, exactly. That way you will be able to eliminate all possible traps as the villains focus on you while I sneak to the bomb with my quirk. Toru, so I am just a bait. Izuku, why ya Toru, I love it, let's do it. Flashback, and Izuku and Toru made their way back to the monitor room to observe the remaining matches. The combat training with All Might had since finished, and it was now lunch break as the students made their way to the cafeteria. An explosion could be heard in the support studio as Power Loader flew out the door to the support studio. Power Loader, dang it Hatsum, I thought I told you to make sure that your gadgets are safe. May, sorry Power Loader sensei, but it's really hard to identify the problem with my babies without experiment. Why aren't you carrying out experiments on your inventions? He said while picking himself from the floor and dusting himself up. She came out of the studio. Most of my inventions need to be tested on people, but no one wants to volunteer. When I ask, they just run away. Go, I wonder why, he retorts with sarcasm laced in his voice. May, common Power Loader sensei, it's not my fault my babies explode. You better find someone to carry out experiment on because experimenting is a crucial part of inventing. With that, he went back to the support studio, leaving May to think for herself. Where am I going to find someone that is willing to become my lab rat? Surely I can't use Principal Nizu as a lab rat. He's going to expel me. After she finished that thought, she saw Izuku innocently making his way to the cafeteria while humming to himself. She liked her lips while making her way to him. May, hey you Izuku. Oh, I remember you, May. Yeah, me too. So you want to go check out my babies, Izuku? Yes. Great, let's go, she said while dragging him by his hands into the support studio. As he entered, Izuku could have sworn he heard his ancestors yelling at him to get out of there, and it didn't help when Power Loader looked at him with pity for what is to come. Bibu. This was the 7th explosion under 10 minutes. The support studio was a mess courtesy of May's explosions that could rival Bakugo's. Some inventions he teleported away before they could explode, while some he took point blank. Right now Izuku was sprawled out on the floor due to an explosion while May was making some adjustment to her babies. Izuku, 7 explosions under 10 minutes, that has to be some record. Izuku, well I'm thirsty so I'm going to go have something to drink. Mei hands him a small device in the shape of a cube with buttons on either side. Izuku, what is this? Mei, it is a hydro compress chamber, able to hold 16 gallons of water. Just press the red button on the side to dispense the water. Izuku pressed the button on the side only for it to explode in his face. Oops. There is still a few bugs I need to iron out. Sorry. Izuku, sighs, I am heading to the cafeteria to get lunch. Wanna join me? Mei, no. I'm not hungry. Stomach growls loudly. Izuku raises an eyebrow. Mei, that proves nothing. Izuku, you are clearly hungry, why don't you want to eat? Power loader, she doesn't eat or sleep much. I have been trying to get her to eat and sleep properly, but she wouldn't listen. Izuku looks at Mei. Why? It's just that I could be using the time I use for eating and sleeping to make more babies, she said, still tinkering with her gadget. Izuku, Hatsum-chan, your health is important. You need to eat and sleep properly. Mei, no. Izuku stared at Mei with worry before an idea popped into his head. Izuku, that is a shame, I wanted to have something built for me. I guess I'll have someone else build it for me instead. Immediately Izuku said those words, Mei's ears perked up and she abandoned what she was doing and gets in his face. Mei, what is it? I can build it for you. Izuku, oh no, I most certainly can't let a sleep-deprived and malnourished engineer build it for me. But why? She whines. Izuku, sorry, but my decision still stands. Unless what? I will do anything. Anything, huh? He said with a sinister grin as he put his left index finger and thumb under his chin as if to reconsider his decision. Mei, yes, anything. Izuku, let's make a deal. Mei, I agree. Izuku, what? You haven't even heard the deal. Mei, I don't care. Now tell me. Izuku, okay, if you promise to eat properly and sleep at least 8 hours a day, you can build it for me. Mei, fine, I promise, just tell me already. Izuku, okay. Pinky promise. Mei, pinky promise. With that they locked pinkies to seal the deal. Mei, now tell me what support item you need. Izuku's hands moved to rub the back of his head. Well, it isn't really a support item. It's just that my quirk acts up anytime my stress level is high, so I need a device that will help me monitor it. Mei, so you need a stress monitoring device. Izuku, yes, but I also want to be notified telepathically about the conditions of my stress level so I can properly monitor it anywhere I am. I can do that. I just need some neurosensors. I also need to scan your brain for brain waves. She rambled on as she was getting the materials needed when Izuku stops her. Izuku, now Hatsum-chan, before you start, remember your promise. That's right. Izuku, wait here for a second, I am going to get us food. Izuku teleported to the cafeteria and got 2 plates of food from Lunch Rush, giving his classmates a wave in the process before teleporting back to the support studio. He gave one of the food to Mei before sitting down on a bench in the corner of the support studio. After they had finished eating, the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch break. Mei told him to meet her after school in the support lab so that she can scan his brain for brain waves. It was after school hours and Toru was waiting for her friends so they can walk home together, but the thing was that she had been waiting for more than 20 minutes now and she had a sinking feeling that she already knows what had happened. It was obvious that they had already forgotten about her and had probably already gone home. She knew that it wasn't intentional, these kind of things happens, this wasn't the first time that she had encountered this kind of problem. It happens a lot in middle school. Heck, she had even lost some friends because they didn't remember her, but when she reminded them of her existence they seemed sheepish and apologetic. She couldn't blame them, this was the downside to her quirk. It would have been better if she can turn her invisibility off and on, but she'd just have to play with the cards life dealt. That is why she is constantly doing something attention-grabbing so that she wouldn't be forgotten. Sighing, she decided that there was no use waiting. She spotted Midoriya also preparing to leave, and from the looks of it, it looks like he spotted her too. Izuku, oh hey Hagakure, I didn't see you there. Toru, hey Midoriya, what are you doing in school after school hours? Izuku, oh I wanted to get a piece of support equipment for my quirk, so I was asked to be in the support lab after school hours. What about you? She sighed, I was waiting for someone so we can walk home together, but it looks like the person forgot. Izuku, is that so? Well, we can walk home together, at least to the train station if you don't mind. Sure, no problem. With that they walked to the train station talking about the combat training exercise they did with all might. Next day, a bunch of reporters were blocking the entrance of UA interrogating unsuspecting students. Reporter, how does it feels to have All Might as a teacher Kirishima? He is so manly. Reporter, how does it feels to have All Might as a teacher Tsu? He called me Tsu after I told him to. Reporter, how does it feel to have All Might as a teacher Tokoyami? It feels like revelry in the dark. Reporter, how does it feel to have All Might as a teacher Bakugo? I'm gonna blow you extras if you don't get out of my way in class Aizawa. Today you guys are gonna be picking out class representatives class. That is super normal Aoyama. If anyone should be class president it should be yours truly. Kirishima, I want to be class president too. Mina, Yemi too. The class was in riot. Everyone who is anyone wanted to be class rep, well anyone except Izuku Ida. Calm down, the position of class representative and deputy is a very delicate position so therefore it requires just as delicate of a method of electing those who will fill the role. I suggest a democratic system should be applied in filling the role of class representative and deputy. Sue, but everyone will just vote for themselves. Ida, exactly. That is why the person that manages to get more vote will be more capable of the role because they are trusted that they can handle it. Looks at Aizawa if we have your permission of course. Aizawa, I don't care what you do as long as you produce your representative and deputy before the end of the day. Enters his sleeping bag and sleeps. Ida went around collecting the vote. Izuku voted for Momo so it came as a surprise when he was elected to be the class deputy with 3 votes while Ida came out as representative with 4 votes. Bakugo, what? Who voted for Deku? It is way better than voting you as the deputy. Bakugo, what the heck you say to me soy sauce? It was lunch break and Izuku was eating alone again. Not that he is lonely or anything but it's just that in his formal school he was alienated for being quirkless and Bakugo made sure of that. So he settled for eating alone at lunch and if he was honest with himself he preferred it more than the bullying. People tend to ignore his existence if he is not being picked on and now even when he is in his dream school with an artificial quirk he still settled for sitting alone. I guess it's a matter of old habits die hard. He was so engrossed in his food that he didn't notice a figure settling right down in the table he was, not until she made her presence known. He looked up to see Momo staring right back at him and he started sweating nervously. What does she want from me? We have never talked directly, Izuku thought. She spoke. I want to congratulate you on the position of class deputy. To be honest, I also wanted to take up that position but I recognize that you're the better candidate that is more suited for this position. Thanks B, but to be honest I never really wanted to occupy that position. Heck, I didn't vote for myself. Izuku said. Is that so? Then who did you voted for? She asked. You. He responded. What? B, but I voted for you. She stated, confused to why Izuku would vote for her. I thought you wanted that position. Then why didn't you vote for yourself? He asked. Well, the reason is that I saw your performance in the quirk apprehension test and I saw how you handled yourself. Your quirk is wonderful but it can't help you in everything but yet you still came out on top even in places people thought you'd fail. I saw you display resourcefulness which is a skill a leader must possess. I wanted to be a leader but more than anything I wanted to have a right leader. That was why I was happy when you were elected as deputy and that is part of the reason I came to congratulate you, she stated. What makes you think you aren't the right leader? For crying out loud, Yayarozu, your quirk is the epitome of resourcefulness and you are smarter than all of us in 1A Combine. You are the only one that is rational apart from Ida. For someone of your caliber I'm honored to be recognized by you as a leader, but a leader must be able to accept his role and responsibility which I'm not cut out for. When I look at you I see a leader. I know what you can do and I know you will be able to do more with the position of deputy in a semester than me in an entire school year and if that is not enough proof that you're more of a leader I don't know what is. And if I'm honest with myself I don't know any other person more capable of filling this role other than you and there is no other person I'd rather trust with the well-being of my classmate rather than you. That is why I voted for you. Momo didn't know what to say. There was something in his words that felt right. It felt better than any compliment she had ever gotten. No, this wasn't a compliment, this was acknowledgement. He was able to recognize her achievement and her hard work as her own and not the expectation of her background. Growing up, people expect her to be flawless because of her prestigious background. After all, it wouldn't make sense for a child of such background to be a delinquent, so the expectation was high on her and she wasn't planning on shattering it, so she works hard to be the best because it's only normal for people to think that for someone from such background to always be the best, but she was only human, and even when she comes out on top, people just gave credit to her background. She was happy to come across a person such as Izuku. These are the kind of people that see beyond the filter and aren't afraid to speak the truth. He was a rare gem and she couldn't help but smile, but that was cut short when alarm went off. Ant started blaring, automated voice. There has been a level 3 security breach. All students are advised to make their way to the exit. Upperclassman 1. There has been a security bridge. Upperclassman 2. This has never happened in my years of staying in UA. Everywhere was in a mess as students were pouring out of the cafeteria as they were panicking. Izuku was in a daze. He was still processing what was going on when Momo grabbed his hand and went to the opposite direction of the exit where students were struggling to get to the exit. When Momo was in a less crowded area, she got the attention of Izuku. Izuku, what is going on, Momo? I think there has been a security bridge, but something tells me that is not what triggered the alarm, Izuku. So, what do you suggest we do, Momo? It would be suicidal to run through the exit. Can you teleport outside to check for any irregularities, especially the entrance of UA? Izuku. Okay, teleports to the entrance and saw a lot of press gathering there and teleports back. Izuku. I saw a concentration of reporters at the entrance. Momo. My suspicions are right, it was the press that set off the alarms, maybe in a desperate attempt to get information. Izuku. All we have to do is to let the students know that there is nothing to worry about. Momo. Yes. But there is just one thing though. How did the press manage to infiltrate UA? As far as I know, I don't think they have the manpower for that. Izuku? Yeah. That is worth considering. They didn't have to wonder for long because Ida caught their attention by spin flying across the exit sign to let the rampaging students know that there is nothing to worry about, that it is just the press. Exit sign. Ida. Please students, there is nothing to worry about, it's just the press. This is UA, please let us act in a way befitting of its reputation. After that, the students seemed to calm down and confirm his words by looking out the windows. Izuku. Ida is on top of things, Momo. It would appear so. They went to class. In class, Aizawa. I'm sorry about the press, Zero. It was brutal, I almost got squashed trying to get to the exit. Thanks. Exit sign. Ida. I only did what was Nisi's. What did you call me, Aizawa? Moving on. The reason I had you guys picking class representative was gets cut off. Izuku raises his hands and walks to the podium in front of the class. Aizawa, annoyed, urged him to carry on. Izuku, it's about that. I would like to step down as class deputy and give the position to Momo Yairzu. Is that allowed, Aizawa? I would allow anything as long as we get to move on. Momo. But Izuku. No, I'm done thinking about it, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of this position. So do you accept, Momo? If you entrusted me with this position, I shall honor it. I accept. Izuku walked to his seat while Aizawa rose from his sleeping bag to continue. How he got inside without the class noticing is beyond me. Aizawa, finally. Like I said, the reason I had you guys picking class representatives is that me, All Might, and one more faculty member are going to chaperone you guys on your trip to a facility off campus. Ida, but sir, what is the name of this facility? Aizawa. Disaster, shipwrecks, and everything in between. It's rescue training at USJ baby class. Heck yeah, Universal Studios Japan. Aizawa face palms and sighs. No problem, children, it's the unforeseen simulation joint. Students, heck yeah, the unforeseen simulation joint. Sue, I can't wait to show off my skills underwater. Ribbit Todoroki. I wonder who this other faculty member is. Aizawa. Now you can choose to wear your costumes or not, but I suggest you don't because some of you haven't gotten used to them, so it may hinder your movements. Meet me outside in 10 minutes. Izuku. Are you guys going to wear your costumes? Kirishima. You bet your sweet Pokemon cards I'm gonna. Izuku. Why would I bet my Pokemon cards? They are my most prized possessions. Uraraka. I am also gonna wear my costume. After all, how else are we gonna get used to them? Ida. Your reasoning is justifiable. Zero. Yeah, I agree with you, Uraraka. With that, they went to their respective locker room to change. After changing, Izuku and the boys headed out of the locker room after arranging their things. Izuku was on his way to the bus when someone gently grabbed his shoulders and pulled him aside. Izuku looked over to see Momo with a soft expression on her face. Thank you. she almost whispered with a tone of gratitude behind it. Don't worry about it, I'd do it over and over again. Izuku said. Momo smiled. He really was a rare gem, the last and only one of his kind. If that is the case, she would protect this gem. Come on, let's head to the bus, she said, and they entered the bus. The bus was loaded with everyone and was soon on its way to USJ with loud enough chatter from the students to make 𝐒𝐮𝐲 consider early retirement. Kirishima, I like my quirk because it gives me protection, but it's not flashy against villains. Aoyama, my quirk is pro level on both flashiness and strength. Mina, yeah, but it gives you a tummy ache when used for more than a second. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, Ribbit. Although if we are considering flashy, I'd say Todoroki, Bakugo, and Midoriya-kun's quirks are in that category. But Bakugo is always angry, so he would not go far in life. Ribbit. Bakugo, what did you say? BSUD, wanna pick a fight with me? Kirishima, thanks for proving our point, bro. Mina, Midoriya's quirk is the best so far. It's so powerful it's almost unreal. Izuku, sweating. It's real, I swear. Izuku was nervous about his class talking about his quirk, believing that somehow they would discover that his quirk is artificial just by talking about it. Mina, okay. 𝐒𝐮𝐲, alright, problem children, shut up. We are here. The students came down from the bus and see the gigantic dome structure towering over them. To say they were amazed were an understatement. They went inside to see the Pro Hero 13 waiting for them. The students were murmuring amongst themselves how magnificent the building was from the inside, while Izuku was fanboying his heart out at the sight of 𝐒𝐮𝐲. Glares at the students with his quirk. Shut up, students. Shuts up. Wow, 𝐒𝐮𝐲, you're really getting good at this intimidation stuff. 𝐒𝐮𝐲, thanks. I've been watching a lot of horror movies. Whereas All Might holds up 3 fingers, he was caught up in hero work. 𝐒𝐮𝐲, that buffoon. Turns to the students now. As you all know, I am the Space Hero 13 and my quirk is Black Hole. I usually rescue people from disaster, but my quirk can also be used to kill people. Your quirks are amazing, but it can also be used to hurt people. Thanks to the quirk apprehension test you did with 𝐒𝐮𝐲, you know the extent of your quirk, and hero basic training with All Might, you guys know it can be used to hurt people in different ways. I want you to carry those lessons into this rescue training. The purpose of this rescue training is to help you control your quirk in a positive way to rescue people. You are all heroes in training. Use your quirk to help people, not hurt them. Then Bo's class claps. That's appealing. 𝐒𝐮𝐲, you are getting good at this, thanks. Been reading a lot of Shakespeare. The light at the USJ started flickering and a swirl of black mist formed at the fountainside with villains of different shapes and size popping out of it. After the last villains came out, the mist took on a form of a gentleman with neck brace and mist flaring around his body as if he was made of it, with bright glowing yellow eyes, donning a bartender attire with a gentle manly aura radiating off of him, standing next to a young adult with light blue hair, several dismembered hands all over his body including his face and a lip that looks chapped beyond repair, next to a buff bird creature thingy with exposed brain and a beak for mouth, wearing nothing but cargo shorts with a purplish dark skin color likened to that of the color of the mist guy. The 3 villain radiated a dangerous aura and looked like they were in charge, unlike the other villains which looked like low-level thugs. Kirishima, love. Are those fake villains? Have we started training already? 𝐒𝐮𝐲, don't move, those are real villains. 13 Protect the students and begin evacuation. Real villains. How did real villains made their way here, and how did they know the time we were going to be here? Mineta said while shaking, already fearing for his life. Momo, it must have been the time there was a security bridge in UA caused by the press, so one of the villains must have used that as a distraction to get into UA to steal the file information on our visit to the USJ. Doesn't the USJ have security alarms? Surely they were meant to go off. The USJ does. One of the villain's quirks must be blocking the signal. It all made sense to Izuku now. It couldn't have been the press that broke down UA's door. They didn't have the manpower to do so, and they only wanted information about All Might. That alone wasn't enough for the press to remove the door off its hinges. Only a villain could do that. The security bridge in UA wasn't caused by the press, it was caused by one of the villains using that as a distraction to steal file information. 𝐒𝐮𝐲 pulls down his goggle and ready his scarf and charged at the villains, erasing their quirk before knocking them out. So that is the infamous underground hero eraser head in action. Kurogyri now. The misty guy, now known as 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, warped himself at the entrance of the USJ, blocking their passage out, effectively making evacuation impossible so none of them could escape and call for backup. Students, stay behind me, 13 commanded, but Bakugo and Kirishima were already charging up their attacks against the misty villain. No, stay back, 13 yelled. The attack connected with the villain and created a smoke screen, but when the dust settled down they saw their attacks were redirected and the misty guy was unharmed. Misty guy, oh my, that attack would have done some damage to me if it connected. As heroes in training and aspiring heroes, you are all golden eggs and you are not so defenseless after all, as expected from UA students. Misty guy, we are the League of Villains and we have come to kill All Might. We decided to invite ourselves in because it seems like a wonderful day for the symbol of peace to take his last breath. Where is All Might? The schedule said he was supposed to be here. It doesn't matter, my job is to transport you all to where you will be tortured. The misty guy expanded the mist from his body towards the students, making sure it surrounded them. After the mist surrounded the students, a larger portion of them were transported to various parts of USJ. Some were transported in groups while some were transported alone. Izuku didn't register what was going on as he was transported into the shipwreck zone. Even when he fell into the water, his mind was still processing the situation, not until a tongue wrapped around his upper body and pulled him into a ship. He got a good look at the person to see it was 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲. Are you okay, Kiro? She said while checking him for injuries. I am fine. Just shaken up, he replied while observing her condition to see that she was shivering and a bit drowsy. Why you alright, 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴? You don't really seem too good. Well, I go into hibernation when I am sea cold or when the temperature is too hot. But the water is supposed to be at a stable temperature unless there is a villain messing with the water temperature making it too cold for you, Izuku speculated while looking at the villains in the water, noticing that they all have water-based quirks. It would appear as so ribbit, she said while shivering. Izuku teleported a long towel in his hands and handed it to her. Here, try to stay warm while I handle this. Ribbit, how will you take them on, Kiro? She says while wrapping the towel around herself. I will get the attention of the villains to try and lure them into a close proximity of the ship and teleport a lot of electromagnetic pauses into the water. Hopefully it will knock them out. He said. But the electricity from the EMPs will also affect us because we are also in the water, Kiro. Don't worry about that, the towel I gave you is made of a material that cancels the flow of electricity. He replied. But how will you get the attention of the villains, Ribbit? Don't worry, I got this, he said with determination. Izuku turned to the villains and yelled, Yo, we are poor defenseless children stranded on a ship, can you gentlemen help us? The villains, obviously with no intention of helping, replied with, What do we have here? Let us help this poor souls. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴, seeing this, blinks, deadpan and sweat drops at the same time at this interaction. You poor naive souls. As soon as they were in ranged proximity, Izuku teleported a lot of EMPs at strategic areas of the waters before teleporting another towel in his hands and wrapping himself with it. After the EMPs made contact with the water, it discharged electricity throughout the water, effectively turning the villains into fish sticks before knocking them out. After the villains were knocked out, he rounded up the villains on the ship and puts quirk-canceling cuffs on them and teleported 𝐒𝐮𝐴 back to the center of the USJ while he went to help his other classmates. She got there to see that the bird creature thingy was beating Aizawa to a pulp as he slammed his head into the ground, erupting a muffled groan of pain from the underground hero. As Izuku left the shipwreck zone, he saw a villain holding a stupefied Kaminari to ransom while Momo and Jairu were in battle stances. He teleported the villain in the middle of the ocean where his quirk was useless, causing Kaminari to be free and the girls to notice him. Jairu sighs in relief, thank goodness you helped us out because I honestly did not know what to do. Momo, yeah thanks Midoriya. Izuku, no problem, now let's get Kaminari to safety and take this villains out. Momo and Jairu, right. After teleporting Kaminari to safety, Izuku, Momo and Jiro took out the villains one by one. After they took out the villains, they watched the fight between Aizawa and the bird creature thingy to see that it was not going well for their teacher, it was pummeling him to the ground. Izuku wanted to go out there and help his sensei, and he would have if he didn't see the 20-year-old infant with blue hair stretching his hands to disintegrate 𝐒𝐮𝐴. On instincts he teleported 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲 behind him, leaving the overgrown baby confused for a second before registering the situation and chuckled. Shigaraki, wow, Eraserhead, your students are really ambitious, which is starting to get on my nerve. No wonder you haven't expelled any of them. Noma, get him. The creature now known as Noma ran. No blitzed to Izuku in less than a millisecond and delivered a gut-wrenching punch to Izuku's chest before he could react, sending him flying. Momo, 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, and Mina, who was watching this in another part of the USJ, yelled his name in pure horror before rushing over to him. On getting there, Momo, 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴, and Mina saw him surrounded in rubbles, barely conscious and with an unstable breathing pattern because the impact of the Noma's punch landed directly on his chest. The regenerative effect from the Q I was taking effect on him, but it was much slow because it was the first time handling a medical risk as big as the damage dealt to Izuku by the Nomu. Momo checked his pulse while Mina put Izuku's head on her lap to check for any head injuries, and 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴 checked his heartbeat. Momo in a worried tone said, "His pulse is unstable. His heartbeat is also unstable too, ribbit." 𝐒𝐮𝐴 replied. Kirishima ran to Izuku while Bakugo and Todoroki provided cover for him to distract the Nomo from getting to Izuku. Kirishima, Mito bro, is he going to be okay? Momo, he is in a critical condition and his breathing pattern is unstable. He needs help. While this was happening, Izuku's ears were ringing, his chest and breathing felt heavy and painful while his visions were blurry. He was barely hanging on to consciousness when his eyes shuts open and widen in horror to see that the Nomu had escaped from Bakugo and Todoroki and was now heading to his direction, but he wasn't afraid for himself. Oh no. He was afraid for his friends that were around him, the feeling of fading out of consciousness being long forgotten, and now running on adrenaline he teleported Mina, 𝐒𝐮𝐴, Kirishima and Momo to the other side of the USJ and braced for impact, but the impact never came. Opening an eye, he looked up to see All Might, but he wasn't smiling though, blocking the Noma's punch in one hand with the Noma's fist in his palm. A wave of relief spread over the students while panic began to rise within the villains, reminding Izuku why he was the symbol of peace. All Might, you villains would go as far as attacking students? I was on my way to this place when young Ida told me that my students were fighting for their lives, but it's fine now. Why? Because I am here. Shigaraki, All Might. You are finally here. I was starting to think that we went through all this trouble for nothing, but at last the final boss is in front of me. Nomu. The Nomu and All Might started exchanging blows at speed too fast for the normal eyes to see, with shock waves erupting out every time their fist collides. All Might delivered a quick succession of OFA-infused punches to the creature's gut, but it had little to no effect on the Nomu as it grabbed his head and slammed it on its knees. All Might backed off to create distance, but the Nomu just blitz in front of him and send a punch to his face, with All Might blocking it with his forearms. Shigaraki, Nomu is a being specially designed to face you at your 100%. The only way to kill it is to slowly gouge out his flesh, but whether he'd allow you to do that is up to him. All Might, hearing this, grabbed the Nomu by its torso and performed a German suplex, slamming it to the ground, but a misty portal was opened on the floor, allowing the Nomu's legs to pass through the ground and trapping All Might to the ground. Shigaraki, were you planning to trap him like that? It won't work. Korajiri, normally I don't like killing people this way, but for you, symbol of peace, I will make an exception. The Nomu grabbed All Might where his injuries were and began to squeeze it so hard, making BLD come out of it, staining his clothes in the process. All Might coughed out BLD and began to think of a way to get out of his predicament when Izuku teleported him from the Nomu's grasp onto solid ground, while Bakugo tackled the misty guy by his neck brace and Todoroki froze the Nomu's body into the ground. Bakugo, I finally figured it out. You have that metal neck bracelet on. That means that there are some part of you that isn't made of mist. You just spread your mist around your body to make it look like you were made of it. Now if you move a single muscle, I will blow you up into pieces and blow up those pieces. Shigaraki, annoyed, began to scratch the back of his neck and said, "You kids are getting annoying. We need our warp gate." Nomu. The Nomu broke out of Todoroki ice, but in the process its legs came off and began to regenerate and blitz in front of Bakugo, but before the Nomu's punch could connect with Bakugo there was a shockwave and a smoke screen. The smoke cleared to see that All Might got Bakugo to safety while taking the full brunt of the Nomu's punch. All Might, don't you know how to hold back? Shigaraki, hold back. One of your precious students threatened my warp gate. You know what? I am sick of this society that put heroes on a pedestal claiming that they can do no wrong. I am sick of this society that praise and acknowledge people with strong or flashy quirks like they can do no evil but are quick to label people with unfortunate quirk as villains or weakling who will always be the disgrace of society. And I am sick of you who put a lead on this trash called society symbol of peace, more like symbol of pieces. Nomu All Might and the Nomu began to brawl again, but All Might was brutal with his attacks. He sends a powerful punch to the Nomu's jaw, sending it flying upwards and jumped really high in midair and slammed the Nomu back down to the ground. The Nomu screeched before rebounding from that attack and charged towards All Might with a fist. All Might again caught its fist in his palms and proceeded to put the Nomu in an arm lock before ripping its arm out. The Nomu started regenerating its arm back, shocking the symbol of peace for a little, and in that split second the Nomu took advantage and sent a devastating punch to the side of his ribs where his injuries were and flung him across the USJ. Superhuman strength and speed and now regeneration. Shigaraki, what is the matter? Symbol of peace. Having trouble facing Nomu? I told you he is meant to face you at your 100%. Super speed and strength that could rival yours, regeneration and shock absorption. He is the ultimate machine, the anti-symbol of peace. All Might. Shock absorption. Nullification. That means there is a limit. All Might blitz in front of the Nomu and started a barrage of punches on the creature. He was relentless in his attacks, not giving it time to counterattack. Each punch was more intense than the last. If it is meant to beat me at my 100%, then I just have to go beyond that. Tell me, villains, have you ever heard these words, go beyond plus ultra? All Might said before delivering one final blow to the Nomu, sending it flying out of the USJ and into the stratosphere. Shigaraki, yells Nomu. All Might with steam coming out of his body, in a menacing tone steps forward and says, now villains, I am sure we want to end this quickly, don't we? Shigaraki scratches the back of his neck and steps back. You cheated. You used cheat codes. Kurogyri, Shigaraki. If I may. There is no need to panic, we have the last boss in front of us. We may not have the Nomu, but we still have some of the low-level villains. I am sure All Might is weak from his battle with Nomu, we can still kill him here and now. Yes, you are right. We can finish this once and for all. Shigaraki said before charging at All Might, his right hand outstretched with a crazed grin behind his hand mask. All Might couldn't move because he was on the verge of losing his battle form. Shigaraki's hands were just inches away from All Might face when there was a flash of light and All Might wasn't there anymore but now beside Izuku. Izuku during the whole ordeal was struggling to compose himself. The blow dealt to him by the Nomu was still affecting him and was solely running on adrenaline, his eyes focused on All Might to see steam coming out of his body. For some reason he could feel that all wasn't well with the symbol of peace, but when he saw that he wasn't moving when Shigaraki was heading for him with his hands stretched, he knew he had to do something or his idol was going to get dusted, so he teleported All Might beside him. Shigaraki was beyond angry. The symbol of peace was in front of him ready to die by his hands but now wasn't there anymore, all because of that pesky brat. He was about to make another move but dropped on the floor when bullets made its way into his body courtesy of Snipe. Nizu, sorry we are late, I had to gather every pro heroes I could find on campus. More pro heroes, it's game over. Let's go home. Kurogiri. This is not over symbol of peace, we will be back next time to finish the job. Shigaraki said before falling through the portal Kurogiri made. After the pro heroes rounded up the remaining villains, Momo, Kirishima, Mina and Tsu rushed over to where Izuku is only to be stopped by Cementos via a wall. Cementos, we are currently checking the injured, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys also get checked out for any injuries. Mina, but our friend Midoriya and All Might are there, we want to check up on them. Cementos, I assure you they are safe and being checked on for any injuries. After Cementos assured them, they reluctantly went to get checked out. Meanwhile Izuku and All Might, no Tashinori Yagi, were staring at each other. Yep, you guessed it. Izuku just saw All Might transform into Tashinori Yagi in front of his very eyes and now they were staring at each other now not knowing what to do. Yagi was about to say something when Izuku collapsed from the adrenaline leaving his body. Tashinori caught him before he could hit the floor and took him to the paramedics before getting himself checked out. 16, 17, 18, 19. The detective counted the students before writing down something in his notepad. "Excuse me, sir, but is Izawa-sensei going to be all right?" A student inquired, with the other students nodding, also curious. The detective took out his phone and looked at it for a minute before answering them. "Well, your teacher has several broken bones and his eye sockets were damaged, but apart from that he is fine." "But what about 13?" Uraraka asked. "There were several lacerations on 13 as an effect of 13's quirk being used against the space hero by the warp gate." "What about Midoriya?" Mina asked with worry. "Yeah, how is he?" Kirishima reinforced her question, also concerned for his bro. "Your friend has 4 broken ribs with 2 on either side of his rib cage, but he is going to be fine." After the students were done getting checked out for injuries and being interrogated by Detective Tsukachi, they entered the bus and headed back to UA in silence. Izuku slowly opened his eyes after being unconscious for half a day. He blinked a few times to adjust to the light. "Where am I? What am I?" Izuku asked himself, trying to remember what the heck happened. "You are at the hospital, and as for what you are, well, you are a superpowered teen." A doctor replied him while writing something down in his clipboard. Startled Izuku by the doctor's presence, he asked what happened. "You and your classmate got attacked by a villain organization with the wackiest name ever, and you got beaten 6 ways to Sunday by a rejected piece of chicken nugget on steroid." While that's a polite way of putting things. Izuku blinked again, slowly recalling the event that took place at the USJ. "Well, your vitals are okay and your ribs have already started healing before you were brought here. I presume it is the effects of your quirk, whatever it is," the doctor said, glancing up from his clipboard to look at Izuku for verification. Izuku mused, so this was the healing effect from the 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐸 Ihawaki was talking about. "Well, yes, it is an aspect of my quirk. It gives me regenerative ability to an extent," Izuku replied the doctor. "Doctor, in that case we should be ready to discharge you tomorrow and your quirk should handle the rest of the healing process in your rib." Izuku, "Okay. Thank you, doctor." "Doctor, no problem." With that, the doctor left his hospital room to go attend to other patients, leaving Izuku alone. Izuku continued to recall what happened at the USJ. He remembered All Might fighting that Nomu thing and sending it into the stratosphere, and he remembered All Might not moving when the 20-year-old infant was about to dust him. He remembered teleporting All Might out of the villain's reach. He remembered when the villain was about to try again when Principal Nizu and the other UA heroes showed up. He remembered the villains retreating. His eyes flew up. He remembered steam coming out of All Might's body a lot before he transformed into a low-budget version of himself before everything went black. Izuku put his hands to his wide-opened mouth. Whatever he saw, he knew he wasn't meant to see it, and if the villains at the USJ knew how close they were to defeating All Might, Izuku didn't want to think about it. If the world knew All Might's current status, the world would go into panic. The civilians would be distressed about the status of their symbol of peace, and if the villains knew, they are going to have a field day knowing that the bane of their existence has a weakness. Izuku knew that it's just a matter of time before All Might sends someone to interrogate him if All Might doesn't do it himself. Another thought crossed Izuku's mind. Did the UA staff know about his condition? He wasn't sure. The door creaked open and his head sharply turned to the door. His head moved so fast you would think his neck would snap from how fast his head moved. He was on edge. His mom stepped inside and immediately went to hug him. "Inko, I'm so glad you are okay." "Izuku, Mom, what are you doing here?" "Inko, immediately I heard from your principal that you guys were attacked via a phone call. I was worried, but when he told me you were in the hospital and was injured, I was afraid, so I requested the name of your hospital." "Izuku, Principal Nizu told you about the attack." "I'm just glad that All Might was there to save you guys. I don't even want to think about it if he wasn't there," she said, breaking apart from the hug and taking a seat beside his bed. Izuku stiffens at the mention of All Might but snapped out of it. "Inko, what did the doctor say about your condition?" "I was briefed on your injuries from the principal but didn't get the full report." "Izuku, the doctor said that I should be discharged tomorrow because the 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐸 is already taking care of the healing process in my injuries." "That is good," she said as she sighed in relief. And for the rest of the day they just talked, with Inko having to leave after visiting hours. It was the next day and Izuku had already been discharged. UA gave the students a few days off to recover from the villain attack at the USJ. Right now Izuku was in his room preparing to go out to get some things. He wanted to get groceries and other things. His mom had insisted that she'd go get the groceries while he should rest, but Izuku refused, claiming he was a big boy and he could take care of himself. Inko wanted to insist more, but Izuku gave her the puppy dog eyes, and at that point she knew she was fighting a losing battle. So now Izuku was on his way to the supermarket, which was a considerable amount of distance away from his home. He was walking along the sidewalk when he heard a couple of voices calling his name. At first he thought it was all in his head, but he remembered he doesn't have voices in his head, which leaves the other option, which was the voices wasn't in his head and there were actual people calling him. As he pondered this, the voices got louder and closer. With a huh, Izuku looked around and spotted Mina and Kirishima in casual attire at the other side of the sidewalk, waving at him while making their way to him. From the looks of things, they also looked like they were heading somewhere. Kirishima, bro, you are alright. Mina, we thought we lost you. Kirishima, yeah, you gave us quite a scare. Izuku huffs, don't be dramatic, guys. You are talking like you just saw me take my last breath in the middle of a world war. We aren't being dramatic, we were worried sick, Mina says, ruffling his hair. Izuku pouted and tried to style his hair to the way it was, which didn't make a difference. Mina giggled at his antics. Izuku, so where are you guys headed? Kirishima, it's crazy, bro, but we were actually coming from the hospital. You were admitted, but they said you were already discharged. Then we decided to come see you in your house, but none of us knew your address, so we settled for just roaming about like jobless teens before going to the park. Then we bumped into you. Mina, yeah, that is pretty much what happened, but I feel like we are forgetting something. Yeah, it feels like something is missing, but I can't put my finger on it, and oh my goodness, is that a limited edition Crimson Riot merch? Kirishima said as he was suddenly distracted by something he considered manly. Guys, I'll be back. I just need to do something real quick. Kirishima said as he was heading to the direction he saw the merch. Sigh, that boy, Mina lamented as she shook her head in exasperation. I don't know what I'll do with him. She turned her gaze from the direction Kirishima ran off to Izuku. But are you alright though? That attack at the USJ really did a number on you. Mina said as her and Izuku sat on a park bench. Izuku rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, I'm fine, just a bit sore. Mina, you should be, you took a really heavy blow from that Nomu, what were you thinking? Izuku, sighs, I didn't want any of my friends to get hurt. Ah, that's sweet, she said, bopping his nose. But you had us worried there. Don't do that again. Izuku, okay, but on the bright side you guys are safe and I'm fine. Are you sure about that? She said, poking his left rib. Izuku flinched and recoiled at this. Ow, a Shido, that really hurts. Izuku whines. Mina, that's what you get for making the class worry. Izuku, Mina, gasps, I am not. Just then Kirishima walked back to them holding a Crimson Riot merch. Look what I got, guys. Kirishima said, showing off the merch. That's nice, but I have to get going now. Izuku said, standing up from the bench. Kirishima, alright bro, see you in school. Mina, yeah, see ya. With that, Izuku scampered off with Kirishima and Mina waving by. Halfway to the supermarket, in his rush to get there, Izuku bumps into someone he didn't see the person's face. Sorry, my bad. Izuku froze. Why was the voice familiar? He took a good look at the person. He knew those floating clothes anywhere. Izuku, Hagakure. Is that you? Toru, Midoriya. What are you doing here? You should be in the hospital. Izuku, I just got discharged this morning, but I could be asking you the same question. Toru, who was supposed to go with Kirishima and Mina to visit you in the hospital, but they forgot about me. Izuku, no wonder they said that they felt like they were forgetting something. You ran into them. Izuku, I actually just departed from them not too long ago. I guess they forgot about me again. She sighs. He could hear the upset in her voice and he didn't like that. Well, we could go get some ice cream. Izuku suggested, unsure and a bit hesitant. Her mood did a 180 flip. Let's go. Izuku couldn't see her face, but if the tone of her voice was anything to go by, he'd say she was already feeling better. It was amazing what ice cream could do, so now they were sitting across from each other, ice cream in hand. Toru got strawberry ice cream while Izuku got blueberry. Right now Toru was laughing her head off at Izuku's expense. So you mean to tell me you tried to stuff your cat in a Pokemon ball the first time you watched Pokemon? She said in between laughs. IIW was 9, ID didn't know any better. He defended. Her laughter got worse. Izuku started laughing with her. After they both stopped their feat of laughter, they continued their conversation, occasionally shifting the topic from ice cream to birthdays to hero rankings. After ice cream, they departed ways, bidding their farewell not before exchanging contacts. Izuku continued with his quest to the realm of the unending, aka the supermarket, to get the item of infinite power, aka groceries. Izuku was happy that the supermarket wasn't far from his current location, and a smile formed on his lips when he sighted the supermarket after a couple of walks moments later. Izuku was in and out in less than 15 minutes flat. He didn't waste too much time grocery shopping. He was on his way home, grocery bag in hand, when he passed an alley, and that's when the hair at the back of his neck stood on edge. He looked at the direction of the alley, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and he sure as heck wasn't going in to investigate any further. He has watched more than enough horror movie to know it won't end well. He didn't want to become some paranormal entity's next victim. Minding his business, he turned forward only to come face to face with a face in his face. His spinal cord nearly broke in half because of how fast he backed away to get some distance, landing in a funny position so the grocery bags doesn't fall off his hands. Giggles, you're funny. Izuku stared warily at the figure. He had seen this person before. Toga. Toga, yay, you remember me. Izuku, what are you doing here? Toga, oh, it's not like I'm stalking you or anything. His throat closed and his mouth opened. Disibuha. Pwa. Izuku lost the ability to speak in human language. Toga, can I have some of your BLD, pretty please? Midoriya's shock was replaced with curiousness. You sure like BLD, does it have anything to do with your quirk? She nods, and Izuku's curiousness was replaced with fascination. With a little excitement, he asked what her quirk is. She seemed reluctant to answer, but she answered anyways. Toga, my quirk is a bit weird and creepy. After she said that, she looked at Midoriya, who was looking at her with big round expectant eyes. She sighs, here goes nothing. Toga, my quirk allows me to transform into the person whose BLD I drink. The more the BLD, the more time I can maintain the person's form. She glances at Izuku, expecting to see an expression of disgust on his face, only to see one of fascination. He looked like a kid who was exploring a candy factory. Wow, your quirk is so cool. Not everyone liked the taste of BLD, but your quirk took care of that, and it even gave you fangs to easily draw out BLD from the skin. She was confused. He is supposed to get irritated, heck maybe go on a little rant about why that is not normal like her parents and the people around her, but he was here giving reasons why it was perfectly normal. He is different. Izuku, you can have my BLD if I get to see your quirk in action. Really, yay. She pulled out a knife out of nowhere. What the heck? Where did that knife come from? He muttered as he gave Toga his hand. She made a small cut on the lower part of his palm and began to suck on the BLD that rushed out. She almost lost herself to the taste of his BLD. It tasted so good. The BLD stopped rushing, snapping Toga back to reality, leaving her confused. She took a look at the cut to see it was already healing and the bleeding had stopped. It was as if Izuku could read her mind. The bleeding stopped because of the regenerative aspect of my quirk. The explanation seems to do the trick. Wiping her face, she transformed into him. The transformation seemed spotless except for the clothes. Bright emerald eyes stared right back at him. Izuku was staring at his reflection. When he gets home, he is most definitely writing this down in his notebook. It was 3 o'clock and Izuku had already returned from his quest to the realm of the unending. His mom had shot him a look that said, you took your time. He sheepishly rubbed the back of his head and explained that he ran into some friends. After putting out the groceries, he had reserved a page in his notebook for Toga and wrote down the inner workings of her quirk. It was terrifyingly accurate for someone who was just seeing her quirk in action for the first time. So now he was in his room with nothing to do. He was about to make another 𝐒𝐻𝐻 video. 10 months ago, when he got his artificial quirk, he found out that singing helps to relax and ease tension, so he started singing and discovered that he had a fantastic singing voice. But he couldn't let his singing go to waste. After all, if you want to do something, do it right. So he made a video of himself singing with a green smiley mask, wearing a green hoodie with bunny ears and a tight black jean. His green curls were poking out of his hoodie. He went by the alias Twilight Fog. He chose the name because green was his favorite color and Twilight Fog was another shade of green. The name Twilight Fog was printed at the front of his green hoodie with bunny ears. After he had finished singing, he talked about heroes and their quirks for some minutes before he ended the video and edited it. He created a WhatIf account and posted it under the name Twilight Fog. Poor 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, he didn't know what was coming. Flashback: it was the day after 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴 posted his video on WhatIf, and right now he has finished eating breakfast and had done his morning chores. He picked up his phone to check how his video was doing, only to almost drop the phone because of what he saw. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, what the heck? I posted a video and dropped my phone for one night only to wake up and see 5.4 million views, 5.1 million followers and 4.3 comments. My video is practically swimming in views and comments. Don't get him wrong, 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 was getting a big head from this, but it's just that 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 was doing this for fun in the first place. He didn't expect this much attention, which means he has to take this seriously so he doesn't disappoint his followers and people waiting for his next content. Flashback: ever since he has been making WhatIf videos of him singing and talking about heroes and their quirks twice a month on his free time, he didn't just focus on combat heroes or patrol heroes, he also talks about underground heroes, rescue heroes and support heroes. His fanbase has increased significantly over the past 10 months, from 5 million to 15 million to 24.2 million to 35.4 million. With each video he posted, fresh new batch of followers were added to his fanbase. It kept increasing to the point where 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 was already afraid. Was he really that good of a singer? Right now 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 had just finished making another WhatIf video and posted it after editing it. Making videos took a lot of time and editing them took even greater time. He was reading the comments on his last post, and let's just say that is his favorite part of making WhatIf videos. Comments: untraceable, nice voice. Alien Queen, he is such a cutie. Untraceable replies: Alien Queen, he is wearing a mask. You haven't even seen his face. Alien Queen replies: Untraceable, don't need to, with a voice like that. Yamamo03, his voice is charming. Celestial Rat, his analysis is spot on. Revelry in the dark, the darkness commends you on your talent. King Explosion Murderer, TSK. Not bad, but you are still an extra. The manliest replies: King Explosion Murderer, not bad. His voice is fantastic, you must be some sort of SDST. King Explosion Murderer replies: the manliest. I will hunt you down. Class Prez, I must applaud you on your skills. Earphone Jacks, marry me. Legendary Mike, keep it up, little listener. Not the hero killer, the way you talk about heroes. I can tell you can differentiate the fake from the real. Big Sis Mag, I'm a big fan. Shroomy, I like your voice. It's calming. Cammy, yeah, dope singing like low-key you rock. Eraserbed, you've outdone yourself, problem child. 𝐿_million, awesome. Middle of the night, such voice. Juicy Grape, imagine the things I could do with that voice. Sparkles, I can see that you shine just as bright as me. Pony, run away with me. Vines, it is truly a blessing that thou art been gifted with such voice. Random Phantom 3, I love you, Twilight Fog. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 always gets a big head whenever he reads comments on his post. That is why it was his favorite part of making WhatIf video, but making WhatIf videos wasn't the only thing 𝐒𝐮𝐴 did the past 10 months. He took the time out to learn a couple of skills that he felt might be useful along the line. He learned how to read and write as well as communicate almost fluently in English. He thought it would be useful and would come in handy somewhere down the line. He also learned how to code, create programs and possibly hack systems. He learned the special language only computers understand, which are codes, so he had an A-list level of computer knowledge which is only available to a select few individuals. He was a tech genius, but anything outside codes and programs like hardware reassembling or tech setup he had no idea about. And finally he learnt a couple of martial arts style which includes karate, judo, taekwondo and kung fu. Along with various weapon hemstred such as the bow staff, katana, sayuris and lastly throwing knives. Yeah, he wasn't just training his head off this past 10 months, And he wasn't just focusing on his artificial quirk, he was also improving himself. 10 months sounds like a long time, but believe it or not, it wasn't enough for him to do all those things, so he does his martial arts training and artificial quirk training in a dimension where time doesn't exist, but he doesn't train there all the time. During one of his artificial quirk training, he figured out how to teleport into other dimension. It was morning on the day the students were supposed to resume classes, and Toru was getting out of bed to prepare for the day. Looking to her phone on the nightstand, she saw the small light her phone makes when there is a message or a notification. It was blinking, that means it was a message. Aside from her parents, it was super rare for her to get messages this time of the day. She had contacts alright, but it was rare to get messages from them unless she was the one who chatted them up. She checked who it was from to see it was from Midoriya, and he sent a simple, good morning message. Like I said, it was really rare for her to get these type of messages, so for Toru it felt good. This is what it's like not to be forgotten. It was just a simple good morning message, but for her it was more than that. Izuku had no idea how happy he made someone this morning. In class, the students were waiting for homeroom to start, wondering who is going to replace Aizawa, while some were talking about the event of the USJ and some were doing their own things. Ida, alright, everyone get seated. Zero, we are all seated, you're the only one standing. Ida sat back down in shame. I have failed as a class rep. Kirishima and Kaminari were doing their own thing. Kirishima, do you have the merchandise? Kaminari, yes boss. Kirishima, any casualties? Kaminari, no casualties boss, the operation went smooth. Kirishima, let me see the merchandise. Kaminari hands him the merchandise. Kirishima sniffs it. Yeah, that's some good stuff. Bakugo, cut it out, you buffoons are gonna make the teachers think you guys are exchanging hard drags. But meanwhile, all you are doing is exchanging Pokemon cards. Kirishima, amen. Bakugo, why you gotta ruin our fun? You know you could join us. Bakugo, I refuse to be a nerd. Shoji sighs in relief. For a second I thought you guys were gonna pull out a bag of cane or something. At the mention of cane, in not more than 2 seconds Ida was already in front of them reprimanding the two. He then proceeded to go on a long speech on why drag trafficking is bad and illegal. Both Kirishima and Kaminari glared at Shoji, and the latter covered his mouth with all 6 of his hands while giving them an apologetic look. This was happening in one part of the class while the other part discussed among themselves. Sue, I wonder who's going to take us homeroom ribbit. Jiru, yeah, me too. Zero, Mr. Aizawa was really beaten up at the USJ, so I am absolutely, confidently and stupendously sure beyond the shadow of a doubt that he is not coming. Toda. Morning. The man of the hour showed up in the front door of 1A, wrapped up from head to toe in bandage, looking like he was a victim in a stunt accident. Zero, you have to be kidding me. Kirishima, Aizawa-sensei, good to see you're feeling better. Uraraka, if you can call that better. Kirishima whispers to Uraraka, give me some credit, I am trying to lighten the mood here. Oops, sorry, she replies. Sue, Aizawa-sensei, you are in terrible condition, shouldn't you be resting? Aizawa, there is no time to rest, the fight isn't over and yours isn't too. Mineta, what? More villains? Aizawa, no, I am talking about the UA's sports festival, but before we delve into that I want to introduce your new classmate, you can come in now. The door opened as the students glued their eyes to it. In walked a girl around the same age as them. She had an average height for a girl. Her eyes were silver with long black hair tied into a downward ponytail cascading down her back, hair length ending at her lower back with 2 thick strands of hair on either sides of her face acting like side fringes or a face frame bouncing with every movement she made. She had a petite stature like Jiru, but at least taller by 2 or 3 inches. She had a slight or a barely noticeable scowl on her expression, which is always on almost all the time. At first glance it wouldn't be noticeable, but if you stare a little longer it could be seen, but either way she was on the pretty side. Aizawa, introduce yourself. My name is Namari Kue. The students welcomed her. Aizawa, alright Namari, take a seat at the last row, second column. She did just that as Aizawa continued. The sports festival is an event where the students of UA show what they are made of by partaking in a series of competition where they are scouted by pro heroes for internships. Momo, since the extinction of the Olympics, the UA Sports Festival has been in its place. Kaminari, If you are lucky, you get scouted by a famous pro-hero agency and then move on to become sidekicks and eventually become full-fledged pro-heroes, but some of them end up as sidekicks for the rest of their lives. Jiru? Yeah, that is where I see you in the next couple of years. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, that's brutal. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, if anybody needs me, I'll be in a corner going through the stages of depression. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴, a lot of pro-heroes from around the world will be watching, so you all better do your best, push past your limit and go beyond. Students, plus ultra. The students were all pumped up, and with that they went about their classes. After classes, lunch break rolled around. Izuku wanted to introduce himself to the new student, welcome her to class 1A, or even probably invite her to sit with him and his friends at lunch. He walked up to her. She didn't seem to acknowledge him until he spoke. Hey, welcome to the hero course, class 1, and my name is 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, he said while he raised his hands to shake with a bit of nervousness. She didn't shake his hands, but she answered him. Thank you 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴𝐚𝐫𝐲. Izuku awkwardly puts his hands down. Why, no problem. His classmate also flocked around him wanting to introduce themselves. Her scowl deepens just the slightest. I am Momo Yaoyorozu. Hi, I'm Kaminari Denki. Hey, I'm Mina Ishido, let's be friends, she says in a rather cheerful tone. Namari flinches at this. I am class president, Tenya Ida. I look forward to working with you in the nearest future. Whoa, class president, take it easy, you're gonna scare her. I'm Hantashiro, by the way. I'm Ijuku Kirishima, and this here is Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo, come say hi. Bakugo die. Namari raises an eyebrow at this. The darkness welcomes you. I'm Fumikage Tokoyami. I'm Tsuyu Aswei, Ribbit call me Tsukiro. Namari was getting irritated by the minute. They were loud. She asked a question. How many of you are here? Momo was staring at her intensely. She was trying to figure out something. Kirishima, I'm 20, but with you Namari? Huh, I thought there were less. Thank you It's Kirishima, he said, a bit confused. Namari, sorry. Your voices are a little bit mixed up. Tsu, Ribbit, what do you mean Kiro? Namari, because you were all talking at the same time, your voices were mixed up, making it harder for me to understand you guys. Momo, it looks like you rely on sounds, could it be? Momo looked at Namari intently. Are you blind? Ida, so. Be rude Yaoyorozu. Namari, huh, you figured it out. There was dead silence. Namari, yes I am. More silence. Namari, why is everywhere quiet? The whole class stared at her in disbelief. And then the class lost it. There was an uproar. Kaminari, what? You're blind. Mina, you can't see. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐴𝐚𝐫𝐲, and you made it into the hero course. Ida, I never would have guessed. Bakugo, huh, Tsu, someone without a sight made it into the heroics course. Amazing. Ribbit. Kirishima, yeah, so manly. That is so cool. Midoriya says with stars in his eyes, no wonder she didn't shake my hand, it's because she couldn't see it, he thought. He couldn't wait to jot down her quirk in his notebook. Momo, I figured. Your eyes were an unnatural shade of silver, almost gray, like the part of your eyes responsible for adapting and adjusting to light is forever contrasting. Namari, yeah, they are sensitive to any form of ultraviolet light, so therefore the part of my eyes responsible for adjusting to light can't handle ultraviolet light, and they contrast to protect themselves, leaving me blind. It has something to do with my quirk. Momo, fascinating. What is your quirk? Namari, bat transformation. It basically gives me the abilities of a bat, including its blindness. Izuku didn't understand what they were saying, but that didn't stop him from teleporting his notebook and pen and writing this information on his notebook. He was writing down every word she said. His hands moved across the notebook so fast, you would think his quirk was super speed writing. Something every author dream of having, even though he doesn't understand, he would later go over his information and analyze it later. A screech from Mineta grabbed their attention. There were a bunch of students gathering in front of the entrance to the classroom. Achiku, why are there so many students? Bakugo walked up to the entrance. Isn't it obvious? They are scouting out the competition. Kaminari, makes sense, after all we're the class that survived a villain attack. Get out of my way, you extras. Bakugo yells at the growing crowd of students. Mineta shrieks, "We're so dead." Ida makes choppy hands motion, "Bakugo, you can't just call people you don't know, extras." "Bakugo, you can't tell me how to live my life, mechanic." A boy with silver hair poked out of the crowd. "Hey, I'm Tetsu from the class next door. I came to check out what Class 1A is made of, but it seems it is made of arrogant BSTRDs. "No," Aoyama cried while falling on his knees in a dramatic fashion. "You've ruined our reputation, my appealing reputation. Kaminari, they hate us now. This is all your fault, Bakugo." The Bakugo in question didn't give a flying pig. A purple-head boy with bags under his eyes and a tired-looking demeanor made his way to the front of the crowd and stopped just in front of the doorway. "I am Shinso Hitoshi from Class 1C, and like everyone here I came to see what the famous Class 1A is made of, and it's disappointing to see that they are a bunch of cocky BSards. These kind of things make me disillusioned. Like everyone else, I wanted to enter the heroics course, but I didn't ace the entrance exam, so they had to put me in general studies. If you guys aren't careful, you might just be knocked off your pedestal." Class 1A were getting anxious. What does he mean by knock off your pedestal? Shinso, every year after the sport festival, the teachers transfer someone with an outstanding performance from the general studies class into the heroics class. And if anyone in the heroics class doesn't perform well, then their spot will be given to the general studies students. If you're not on guard, I might just sweep you off your high pedestal. This is my declaration of war. Bakugo, so you came all the way from 1C here just to yap rubbish and declare war on us. That just means that we are better than you, because as far as I'm concerned, people declare war on their superiors, not their inferiors. You are weak, that is why you want our positions." Kaminari squeaks, "Stop talking already." Shinso wanted to open his mouth, but Bakugo walks past him, not even acknowledging him or the crowd around. "Minoma, I can't wait to crush you, pompous JRKS in the sports festival." Izuku was a bit angry at that Shinso guy. How can he come over here and call his classmate and friends cocky BSards? It wasn't fair. They were fighting for their lives in the USJ, and some of them would have died, but he was here calling them cocky BSards for surviving a near-death experience. Worst of all, he came here to threaten to take their positions, something that him and his classmates work for. Every single one of his classmates worked hard in their own way to get here, to get into UA, but here this Shinso guy was threatening to take what they worked hard for after they went through a life-threatening attack at the USJ. Izuku looked around to see the dejected, anxious, and scared faces of his classmate. With the knowledge of their positions, they worked hard for being taken. He wanted to do something to lift their spirits up. "Gee guys, don't forget what Aizawa-sensei said, let's give it our all in the sports festival and go beyond. Plus ultra." The class yelled as they went out for lunch break. Kinoko was on her way to the lunchroom when she saw there were a bunch of students gathering in front of a classroom door. Inside the classroom, she saw a bunch of students, and her eyes landed on a particular student. It was the green-haired kid that helped her in the entrance exam. She wanted to thank him when someone spoke to her. It was Kurwaro. From the looks of things, he was also heading to the lunchroom. "Kurwaro, hey Kinoko." "Kinoko, oh, hey Kurwaro-san shroom." "Kurwaro, wanna sit with me for lunch?" "Kinoko, sure, I'll meet you there, shroom." Red crawled up Kurwaro's face as his stomach felt all tingly. "Kurwaro, oh okay, I'll save you a sit." She left as he stared at her with star eyes and continued on his way. Izuku was walking with his friends to the cafeteria when he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned around to see the girl he rescued in the entrance exam. "Kinoko, hey shroom." "Izuku, oh hey, I remember you from the entrance exam. How is your injuries?" "Kinoko, I'm fine shroom." "Izuku, good to hear." "Kinoko, shroom, I wanted to thank you for helping me in the entrance exam." "And no problem. Shroom, my name is Kinoko Komori. I am Izuku Midoriya, and I am glad you made it into UA." "Me too shroom, I'm also happy you made it into UA. You were amazing in the entrance exams shroom," she said, looking up at him. Shocks, it's no big deal, you're in class 1B right?" "Kinoko, shroom, yes." "Then I'll see you around. Bye shroom." With that, Izuku timidly waved at her and went to sit with his friends. Izuku was eating in a table with Mina, Ida, Momo, Mineta, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Namari, although she looked like she was forced to sit there. Kaminari and Mina practically dragged her there against her will. She was going to sit alone, but Mina and Kaminari were having none of it. Izuku and his friends were discussing about the sports festival while eating with the occasional murder attempt from 𝐒𝐲 when a certain pink-haired engineer ran to them. "Are you alright? Is anywhere broken? I heard you were attacked at the USJ. Are you okay?" Mei said, frantically checking Izuku for injuries. "Mineta, we were also attacked too, you know." Mei ignored the midget and continued checking him. "Midoriya, who's your friend?" "What? I'm fine, 𝐻𝐻ATSUME-chan." Midoriya says, trying to reassure her. "Guys, this is Mei Hatsume from the support course." "Everyone hi." "𝐒𝐲, I'm better than you." Mei was staring at Izuku intently while adjusting her goggle, when she looked like she remembered something. "Mei, oh, before I forgot, I have your baby out of context that just sounds wrong and his friends took it the wrong way." Mineta fell off his seat, Ida's glasses became crooked, 𝐒𝐲 was choking on his spicy food, Namori's spoon fell off her mouth, Todoroki was already making up conspiracy theories, Mina and Kaminari were getting ready to double down with laughter, and Momo was waiting for an explanation like a normal human being. "Izuku, not able to read the atmosphere," replied Mei. "Wow, that's wonderful. That made things worse." Mineta passed out, Ida's glasses cracked and gave upon him, 𝐒𝐲, who was recovering from his choking feet, began to choke again. Todoroki was having a field day coming up with conspiracy theories. The guy was going full throttle, Namori was wondering what the heck in My Hero Academia was going on, Kaminari and Mina lost it and broke down laughing while banging their fist on the floor while Momo had given up hope. "Mineta, Midoriya, how could you?" "Todoroki, I didn't know you were biologically capable of becoming a father." "𝐒𝐲, how dare you become a father before me?" "Deku, are you trying to prove you are better than me?" Midoriya was trying to figure out what the heck they were talking about when it hit him. Realization was like a broken piano falling on Izuku. His hands flew up and every which way with a face so red you would mistake him for a Christmas tree with his green hair. "I know, and no please, it is not Lee like that. She calls her inventions be babies, and I asked her to make a support item F for me. Wish that I is all." Izuku says, desperately trying to justify himself. "Mei, yeah, I have his baby." "Izuku, Hatsume-chan, you're not helping. That seems to clear things up." "Ah, you look cute when you're embarrassed," Mina says in between giggles. "𝐒𝐲, dang it, Pink Eye, he is not cute." Mei grabbed Izuku's hand and lead him to the support lab. When they got there, Izuku was still trying to recover from the whole baby fiasco when Mei shoves a device in his face. It was a small box. "Open it," Mei says excitedly. Izuku opened the box to see a small circular object with micro speakers and an even smaller button. It looked like an AirPod but more rounder. "This baby lets you check your stress levels, and it even gives you warning when your stress level is getting high. I built it like that so it makes it easy for you to always have it on you. Once you put it in your ear, it doesn't come off except you want it to, and it allows sound to pass through it so your hearing wouldn't be affected or blocked by it." "Hatsume-chan, this is amazing," Izuku says after putting the device in his left ear. "It's like it is a part of me. Almost like it isn't even there and I can still hear great with this on. Thanks so much, Hatsume-chan." It brought joy to Mei seeing her babies being appreciated. Izuku was looking like she just gave him a piece of technological artifact. He appreciated her invention. Mei looked thoughtful. "I know you didn't ask me to, but I thought I'd make this," she says, handing him a stress ball. "Since you said your quirk doesn't perform well under stress, I made you a stress ball that alleviates stress 3 times faster than the normal stress ball." Izuku took the stress ball and inspected it with a grateful smile. He was about to thank her when he tore his eyes off the ball to look at Mei. She had a solemn expression on her face. Izuku's smile faltered. She looked like she was sad about something. "Hatsume-chan, is anything wrong? It's just that now that I'm done making your baby, we have no reason to meet or talk to each other except for the times you come in for support items." Izuku realizes this and began to come up with ideas for them to hang out more. After moments of silence, he came up with one. "Izuku, I have a high knowledge on programming. You could make your inventions while I input codes in them. Well, for the ones that needs codes to perform, and plus I could help you test your inventions out. Mei, like a partner." "Izuku, like a partner." Mei's crazy mechanic personality came back. Mei already knew how to write codes. She was a support engineer, of course she would know how to write code, but if it means having Midoriya around then it was irrelevant. Izuku was happy when Mei's smile came back. This made learning how to code worthwhile, even if it means it could help a friend out. I can't wait for our first baby together, partner. Mei excitedly says. Ai. Hatsum-chan, please stop saying that, Minatta's gonna come for me. Mei, what is a Minatta? Izuku sighs, never mind. Just then Power Loader walks into the support studio and sees Midoriya. Power Loader, oh Midoriya, you're here, the principal called for you. Oh, thank you Power Loader sensei, I'll be on my way. By Hatsum-chan. And with that Izuku went out the door of the support lab. Izuku was on his merry way to the principal's office when he ran into Setsuna. Fear filled his body immediately he saw her. He was sure she'd made it into UA but was lucky enough not to have her in his class or cross paths with her. Maybe today his luck has ran out. Was she going to bully him again? Was she going to make his high school days a nightmare again? The thought of Setsuna going to the same high school again fueled him with dread. Izuku tried walking past her but, we need to talk. She spoke. Izuku's stomach turned and he was panicking. Hey T Tokage. I have somewhere to be, and maybe L later. Izuku said, trying to act cool, and tried to continue to walk to the principal's office. Setsuna grabbed his hand before he could leave. Izuku was officially freaking out now. Her eyes were shadowed by her hair so he couldn't see her face. Izuku was terrified of her. Heck, not even Bakugo was this terrifying to him. T Tokage, C can you let G go of me. Her grip on his hands tightened even more to the extent it was starting to hurt a bit and it was starting to get red. Tokage P, please L let go of my hand. He says with fear sipping into his voice. He said let go. It was Namari that spoke. She had already come in the middle of Izuku and Setsuna. Setsuna was staring daggers at her. Who the heck are you? It doesn't matter. Let go. Namari says with venom dripping from her words. Setsuna glared at the two, and stared at Izuku a little bit longer. And then she lets go and calmly walked off. Izuku stared at the back of Namari's head with big round eyes. Even though she could not see it, she could feel his piercing gaze. He was about to say thank you when she cuts him off. Thank you. I didn't do this for you, I just don't like people like her. When she said that, she turned to him. When Izuku's eyes meets hers, he saw a sense of familiarity in them. Almost like they held a story, and the tone of her voice. It sounded like she was talking out of experience. Izuku knew that feeling all too well. She scoffs and walks away. Izuku walked off the opposite direction, thinking about what just happened. He wants to find out what happened that made her stand up for him. That was his hero side talking. Izuku got to the principal door and knocked on it before there was a come in, and he slid the door open and entered, closing it behind him. His eyes landed on All Might and freezes up before breaking out of it. All Might was standing in the middle of the room with his signature smile. That smile did nothing to help Izuku. Ah, Midoriya, take a seat. The stuffed bear said, sipping his unending tea while gesturing to the seat near All Might. Izuku gulped and took the seat. The principal spoke. Now Midoriya, I presume you know why we called you here. Izuku shook his head side to side vigorously. All Might's smile never left his face. Young Midoriya, did you see something you weren't supposed to see at the USJ? Again, Izuku shook his head side to side at the speed of light. The principal looked at All Might. It's no use. Let's call Tsukachi. In Izuku's mind, freaking out, not the Tsukachi, anything but the Tsukachi. Aizawa might transform in Todd Hatman. Izuku confessed with closed eyes and a rushed breath. Nizu and All Might shared a look. You mean this man? All Might says before transforming into Tashinori. Izuku was stunned. Izuku, what? Tashinori, calm down young Midoriya. Izuku, what sorcery is this? Tashinori, don't panic my boy. After Izuku calmed down, Tashinori told Izuku about One for All, and its legacy and the limit of maintaining high muscle form. Izuku, so my whole life has been a lie, I have to tell my mom this. Tashinori, young Midoriya, this is a classified information. Oh, then I won't tell a soul. Izuku whisper yells to them, feeling like he was a character in a James Bond movie who was asked to keep a confidential information. Tashinori was already regretting his life decision. Izuku walked out of the principal's office and headed to class. In class, Izuku kept staring at the back of Namori's figure. He kept wondering just what happened to her that made her stand up for him. In Izuku's case, she was the only person to ever stand up for him. Oftentimes people just kept watching at how he was bullied, and sometimes people just ignore it or they don't just care, but this girl wasn't willing to just stand by. Namori could feel Izuku's stare but tries to ignore it and focus on the lesson. Izuku walked home from school as he was thinking about the events that occurred today. School had already closed and students were filing out of the UA entrance. Izuku's eyes were trained on the floor as he walked home, the events of today replaying in his mind from the time Aizawa told them about the sports festival to All Might's big reveal. He have to up his training if he wants to come out on top in the sports festival. Izuku stopped for a second. There was something that caught his peripheral vision. He looked to his left. In the corner of an alley he saw 3 teens, 2 boys and a girl, surrounding someone. It was also a girl and she had the UA's uniform. He knew that kind of formation all too well. They were bullying someone. Male bully 1. What do we have here? Male bully 2. A nobody. Female bully. She's pretty. Wonder what will happen to her pretty face when we're done with her. Male bully 2. We are going to put her in her place. Oh no, not on Izuku's watch. The 3 teens were about to beat her senseless when Midoriya intervened. Izuku, hey. Leave her alone. The 3 bullies tore their sight off the girl to face their new challenger. Male bully 1. Oh look, another material to use as a punching bag. Female bully, let's teach him a little lesson to always mind his business. What are we waiting for? The second male bully said while activating his quirk and running straight at Izuku. His fist was coated in fire and was about to land an inferno punch to Izuku's jaw when Izuku pivoted on 1 foot to move his body to the right and struck him at the back of his neck with a single chop. The remaining bullies watched as he took him out and they lost their smug grin. Male bully 1, he took him out. What do we do? Female bully, don't fret, it's 2 against 1. If we attack him together, he won't stand a chance. They ran at him, quirks blazing, while Izuku stood there with his hands on his backpack straps. When they were in close proximity, Izuku performed a double leg sweep which landed them face first into the dirt. The girl recovered quickly and launched for him with her nails forming into claws, her teeth growing into fangs and her pupils cat-like. Izuku avoided a claw swipe and dodged an incoming punch from a blade-like fist from the other male bully. The girl made another claw swipe at Izuku, but he caught her by the wrist and flung her into the other male, colliding with each other. They got up again and headed for him. Izuku avoided another swipe while delivering a successful uppercut to the boy and finishing it up with a roundhouse kick which sent the boy flying into the alley wall and rendering him unconscious. The girl, angry, ran at him with full force with a double slash in an X formation. He backed off and waited for the right opportunity. The girl followed up with a right swipe and Izuku saw an opportunity. Her left hand was free. He dodged her swipe and grabbed her left hand and executed a judo flip which knocked the wind out of her and made her slam her head into the concrete really hard. It was lights out for her. He went to check up on the girl they were bullying to see if she's okay. She was backed up against the alley wall with her E/C trained on Izuku. She had H/C hair with streaks of blonde in it that highlighted her S/C skin color. She was quite pretty and her stature was that of Momo's. Izuku got to her and asked if she was okay. Izuku, are you okay? Her eyes looked at the fallen soldiers and back to Izuku. Izuku, let's get out of here before they wake up. She pushed herself off of the wall and dusted her clothes. As they passed over the dead bodies, Izuku took a good look at her. She was in the support course, he could tell because of the number of buttons on her uniform. You're in the support course, right? He inquired with his hand awkwardly scratching the side of his right cheek. She nods. Izuku, well, I am from the H-Hero course. My name is Izuku Midoriya. The girl smiles cheerfully. My name is Samui L/N. Wait a dang minute. As he stopped walking, she stopped and pet her head to the side questioningly at him, wondering why he stopped walking. Why does she has Hawaki's last name? He didn't want to jump the guns, but just to be on the safe side he asked. Did you by any chance know Hawaki Lane Samui? Yes, he is my brother. Do you know him? Izuku's eyes widen. Flashback. Hawaki, So far we were almost done with the project when me and my family had to move back to Japan because my younger sister wanted to enter UA's support course, so I couldn't finish the project with Melissa. Flashback, and so you're his younger sister, he said with a look of realization. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐸𝐵, it looks like you know him. Now that I think of it, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 talked about you 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲. He said something about how he finally found someone compatible with the 𝐻𝐻. So it is you he was talking about. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐻, really? He also talks about you. I owe your brother a lot for giving me this artificial quirk. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐸𝐵, knowing my brother, he is happy to give it to you anyways. My whole family were happy when he told us. At the mention of her family, izuku stiffened. He remembered 𝐒𝐻𝐻's elder sister, and his expression morphed into sadness. 𝐒𝐮𝐻, I am sorry about your sister. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐸𝐵 paused her movements and stared down. He told you? Huh? Yes, he said through clenched fist while biting down on his lower lip, trying not to cry. She then manufactured a weak closed eyes smile at him. It's okay. 𝐒𝐮𝐻 looked down. He knew that smile. It was not okay. It was the one he wore to his mom and the rest of the world to hide his suffering. Even though it wasn't his fault, he still felt like there was something he could have done to prevent her death. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, I wish there was something I could have done, no matter how small it is, so it wouldn't happen. She looked up at the sky. You remind me of her. She was always willing to go the extra mile just to help, no matter how small it is. I see why 𝐒𝐻𝐻 gave you the 𝐻𝐻. He heard her voice falter and he felt bad for even bringing it up in the first place. He wanted to change the topic and help her at the same time. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, I can teach you martial arts. She shifted the focus of her vision to him and blinked in confusion. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, well, to defend yourself against bullies. Why, I was also quirkless and I know the kind of treatment people like us get, so that is why I am offering you this. But the choice is yours to make, whether you accept or not. Is totally up to you. 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐸𝐵 stared down at the ground while her and 𝐒𝐻𝐻 walked together. Her eyes were pinned to the concrete, but they were seemingly distant. Her focus was elsewhere as he considered his offer. It wouldn't hurt to learn and know how to fight, seeing that she really needed it, and someone needed to keep an eye on the 𝐻𝐻. She smiled cheerfully. This time it was genuine. And that was all he needed to know. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 gave her the time and location her training is supposed to commence and talked a while before they had to depart ways. It was night and 𝐒𝐻𝐻 was on his phone. Seeing 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐸𝐵 today just reminded him of something. He hasn't chatted Melissa up or even let her know that he possesses the 𝐻𝐻. And knowing 𝐒𝐻𝐻, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 wasn't sure he has told her. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 was the owner and the creator of the 𝐻𝐻. But Melissa is also its owner and its creator too. Since they both put equal amount of efforts and hard work, Melissa also have equal rights to it too. That is why 𝐒𝐻𝐻 gave him her number. Since he will be leaving the country, it was up to Melissa to take charge of the affairs of the 𝐻𝐻. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 sent a message to her. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, hello, is this Melissa Shield? Melissa, yes, who am I speaking with? 𝐒𝐻𝐻. 𝐒𝐮𝐽𝐸𝐸𝐵, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 gave me your number. It's about the 𝐻𝐻. Melissa, what about it? Has he finally found someone whose BLD type is compatible with it? 𝐒𝐻𝐻, yes, my BLD type is compatible with it and it granted me an artificial quirk. Melissa, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 didn't tell me this. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, I figured. Melissa, that means you're quirkless. Did he tell you the chances of it working on a quirkless person? 𝐒𝐻𝐻, yes. Melissa, what quirk did it grant you? Because as far as I'm concerned, we designed it to give quirks, not what type of quirks. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, I got hyper teleportation. Melissa, so cool. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, yeah it is, and I'm grateful to you and 𝐒𝐻𝐻 for coming up with the 𝐻𝐻. Melissa, no worries, we quirkless have to stick together. Speaking of 𝐒𝐻𝐻, where is he? 𝐒𝐻𝐻, he traveled overseas to further his studies so he can fix the problem of the 𝐻𝐻. Melissa, good to know. So with your artificial quirk, I'm guessing you want to become a hero, 𝐒𝐻𝐻? Heck yeah. Melissa, figures, I'd like to see you and your artificial quirk in action. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, if you want to see the artificial quirk in action, just watch the upcoming UA's sports festival. Just look for the kid with green hair and eyes with freckles in a diamond formation on either side of his cheeks. I'm pretty plain looking. Then 𝐒𝐻𝐻 sends Melissa a photo of himself. Melissa, wow, You weren't kidding when you said you were plain looking, and why do you look like you were being held at gunpoint? Izuku, long story. Then the two kept chatting until they were done for the night and Izuku went to bed. It was the next day and Izuku was on the train heading to school. Izuku saw a quite interesting phenomenon on his way to the train station. He saw a child who suddenly manifested a quirk right before his very eyes, and for Izuku it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Izuku was just minding his business when he saw a child and her mother walking along the train station when all of a sudden the girl disappeared into thin air. No, she literally diffused with the air and became one with it. The mother of the child panicked a bit, but when she heard giggling from her child seemingly out of thin air, the mom calmed down a bit. The child rematerialized out of the air and held on to her mom's hand. The mother-daughter duo changed their destination from where they initially intended to go to the quirk doctor. So now Izuku was in the train already scribbling down ways the young girl's quirk could be helpful, while muttering at Mach speed. He was so focused on his writing and his mumblings became so rapid that he began to choke. The people in the train paid no attention to the super-powered teen that was choking at the back like an idiot. Izuku was wondering why his throat was betraying him when a hand held out a water bottle in front of his face. He gratefully took the water bottle and chalked it down. After making peace with his throat, Izuku's eyes traced the hands back to its owner. It was Yui Kodai. She was staring at him with her signature blank expression. "Thank you," he said. She nodded. Izuku took a good look at her. He remembers that he usually sees her around his home, which is because she lives in the same street as him. They usually see each other and occasionally exchange morning greetings, but that was it. But today Izuku was going to put in an extra effort to talk to her, maybe even become buddies in the process. "Izuku, hey Kodai." "Hey," she said with a blank face. Looking at it now, Izuku has never seen her with any other facial expression other than her iconic stoic face. Of course this didn't faze Izuku one bit. "Izuku, I see why you made it into UA too." She nodded. "You too as well." "Izuku, yeah, you're in the H-Hero course, right?" "Izuku, then you must be in class 1B because I haven't seen you in 1A. "Yui, Kodai was also interested in their conversation as much as Izuku was, but her expression didn't show it. She just didn't know how to show it, but Izuku didn't mind as much as he was happily mumbling about quirks to her, and surprisingly she found it interesting. They got off the train after it has reached their destination, and he still kept muttering about useful ways she could utilize her quirk effectively after she told him her quirk. In class they were having art history with Midnight, and for some reason Mineta was acting like a kid in a candy store. "Midnight, now can anybody tell me what art is?" Midnight looked around the class to pick out someone that can answer the question while intentionally ignoring Mineta, who was raising his hands a little too ambitiously. She called out Bakugo to answer. Bakugo stands up. Art is an explosion. Somewhere in another universe where children play ninjas and are given sharp objects. Dara, that's my boy. Back to our universe. Midnight sighs and let Bakugo sit down and called out Tokoyami while still trying to ignore Mineta. "Tokoyami, art is revelry in the dark." Midnight gave up hope. These children were a handful. She wondered how Aizawa was coping. The Aizawa in question was drinking beer in the teacher's lounge, wondering where it all went wrong in his life. While this was happening, Izuku was trying to converse or at least communicate with Koda. Koda did a sequence of hand signs to Izuku. Izuku, not understanding what he was trying to say, played it cool and did the hand sign. For the fire-style fireball jutsu, then the bell rang for lunch break and Izuku went for lunch, leaving a confused Koda behind. Izuku made his way to the cafeteria, noticing that almost all the students present were on their phones staring at something, or to be more specific, watching something. He took a peek at a couple of some people's phones to see that they were all watching the exact same thing. It was the new video Twilight Fog posted on his YouTube channel. Male student, "Men, I love this guy's voice." Male student 2, "Yeah, that guy have my respect." Female student, "He is so dreamy." Female student 2, "I wonder what cutie is behind that voice and that mask." Izuku was surprised to know that even people in UA watch his videos. He passed a group of female seniors who were squealing while watching his video. He got to his table housing his friends and broke his chopsticks apart to eat. Surprisingly, unsurprisingly, they were also watching the video on their phones as well. Zero, his voice is something else. Mina, he's so dreamy. Izuku cringes at this. Mina shifted her gaze from her phone to Izuku. Do you also watch Twilight Fog's videos? Izuku, never heard of him. Everyone within a 50-meter radius next snapped to Izuku. Izuku had never felt so small. Mina, I thought we were friends. How in the world do you not know Twilight Fog? Kaminari, yeah, do you live under a rock? Kirishima, he is like the manliest guy online right now. And his voice is the most loveliest sound I have ever heard. Mina swooned dreamily. Toru, he already has my heart. As his friends were stressing about the importance of Twilight Fog in the society, Izuku spotted Namari sitting alone, just how she likes it. She piqued his interest ever since the day she got him out of a sticky situation with Setsuna, which was yesterday. He wanted to know more about her and the story behind those silver eyes. No normal person with a normal childhood should ever have those eyes, which got Izuku thinking just what happened to her that made her that way, that made her dislike people like Setsuna. If she was an ensue, Izuku was the detective. Izuku stood up and decided to try his luck and go over to her table. Izuku, can I sit here? She shrugged her shoulders nonchalantly. Izuku sat down, albeit shakily. And after that there was an awkward silence. For Izuku it felt like hours, but in reality barely a minute has gone by. He could no longer take it anymore and spoke. Izuku, hey. What do you want? She hissed. Izuku, how are you liking the school so far? He was stuttering so much, more than usual. Namari could hear the uncertainty in his tone and nervousness in his voice. Was she making him this nervous, or was he just like this? Namari, why do you want to know? Izuku flinched. He just wanted to make her feel welcome and maybe get some information on her quirk. Izuku, why you're right. It's just that you don't seem to look like you're having a good time here, so I just wanted to help. Her eyebrows narrowed. What makes you think I don't like it here? She asked in a slightly annoyed tone with a glint of curiosity. She sensed pure intent from the boy, but that wasn't going to make a difference. Izuku was sweating under her gaze. Even though she wasn't seeing him, that didn't make things any better. You, just seem a bit off. Namari intertwined her fingers. And how do you know this isn't my normal attitude? Izuku swallowed. Well, why you just seemed annoyed for some reason. At what? She pressed. About everyone in general. He blurted out shakily. Glad you got the message. She said as she stood up and dumped her trash in the nearby trash can, then went away. Just then the bell rang, indicating the end of lunch break. Izuku was on his way to Gym Gamma. He asked Aizawa for permission to train in the gym for the upcoming sports festival. There weren't classes going on because of the sports festival preparations, so he decided to use this time to train. Izuku entered the large gymnasium as he thought on his training regiment. He has a good handle on his artificial quirk thanks to the training he did 10 months before the UA entrance exam, and his martial arts skills are top-notch. But there was one thing he was lacking though. He wasn't fit, not in the slightest. Izuku looked down at himself. Yeah, he really needed to work on his physique. Apart from his daily routine exercise consisting of only 2 push-ups, he didn't have a lot going on for him in terms of fitness. Izuku was arguably one of the most shortest person in his class. Heck, even some of the girls in his class were a bit taller than him. With his smallish stature and his somewhat childish frame, he was no way near fit, which made him an easy target for his bullies back in middle school, coupled with his quirkless nature. This didn't bother him though, because the power of his artificial quirk alone and his martial arts skills was enough to turn the tides around, but having a good physique wouldn't hurt. This way his attacks could pack more punches and his stamina would increase. So it was settled. Izuku would try to work on his fitness and maybe do a bit of quirk training. Izuku began muttering to himself. That means I'll have to come up with a training plan to improve my fitness. No 2 push-ups every day won't do. Mutter, mutter, mutter. Izuku smacked himself before he could go down a spiral of words, cause if he did then he wouldn't get any training done. Why did you hit yourself? Izuku squeaked at the sound of the voice. He thought he was alone, but it just so happened that there was someone here. Izuku turned to the source of the voice. It was a blue-haired girl with blue eyes. She looked a bit older than him and her hair spiraled down her figure like a periwinkle. The girl started asking questions faster than the naked ear could hear. You must be a first year. Are you also here to train? Is it because of the sports festival? What is your quirk? What is this? 20 questions. Is she a detective or something? Izuku, to the best of his ability, tried to answer her questions. Why yes, I'm a first year. Why yes, I am here to train. Yes, it's for the sports festival, and my quirk is hyper teleportation. She floated closer to him, twin storm orbs peering at him curiously. Your quirk sounds nice. What does it do? Izuku, it allows me to. She cuts him off. You know what? Don't tell me. I'll see it in the sports festival. Izuku, okay. Who are you? Oops, sorry, I got curious for a second there. My name is 𝐒𝐬𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻 and I'm a third-year hero course student. Oh, an upperclassman. 𝐒𝐬𝐸𝐻, what's yours? Izuku scratched his cheek. Izuku Midoriya. 𝐒𝐬𝐸𝐻, well Midoriya, what part of your training are you having trouble with? Izuku, what? 𝐒𝐬𝐸𝐻, I heard you saying something about coming up with a new training plan before you hit yourself. Izuku, alright. I was thinking of working on my fitness. She stopped moving around and floated in one place to think. I think I can help you with that. Izuku, wait, what? You'll help me? She nodded. What kind of senpai will I be if I don't help out a kahai? Izuku, gee thanks. Now let's work on your training plans, she said as she gingerly grabbed his hand and floated the both of them to another part of the gym. Izuku's heart almost shot out of his mouth as she suddenly grabbed him and flew him into the air. Izuku by no means was acrophobic, but that didn't stop him from holding on for dear life. She got to a part of the gym and dropped him. There were many various training equipment, like an entire shelf of dumbbells ranging from different weight, a bench press, weighted vests, and other training item. She turned to Izuku, who was enjoying the feeling of his feet touching the ground. Are you okay? She asked. Izuku, yeah, just fine. She went over to the sets of dumbbells and picked one, then handed it to him. He took it and immediately dropped it. It was heavy. She watched on as Izuku struggled to carry the weighted object with a lot of effort. 𝐒𝐬𝐸𝐻, that's not good. She collected the dumbbell from him and put it back in the shelf. Wow, you really have a long way to go, but luckily I'm here to help. We'll start from the basic, then work your way up. Let's do some push-ups and then some sit-ups and probably do some leg workout. After all, we're working on general fitness, the let's shouldn't be ignored. She took a notebook and pen and wrote something in it before tearing the page out and handing it to him. It was a training regimen to improve his overall fitness, and she also threw in some diet plan. Midoriya read it and smiled. Thank you, Hato-senpai. It's no biggie. Oh, I almost forgot I have hero basic training right now, she said as she stood up. I'll see you later, Midoriya-chan, and I'll be rooting for you in the sports festival. With that, she flew off. Izuku waved bye to her before looking at the training regiment in his hand. Time to get to work. Right now school had ended and Izuku was making his way out of the entrance of UA. He was considering waiting for Yui so that they can go home together, when he spotted her making her way home. Izuku yelled her name and ran up to her. Izuku, hey Kodai. Hey Midoriya, she said with no form of expression whatsoever on her face. Midoriya, you don't mind if I join you in walking home? You sure? Midoriya, so are you excited for the sports festival? Yui, yeah, can't wait. Izuku, I know, me too. I was thinking of taking my training to the next level. Hey, maybe we can train together. Yui, that sounds fun. The two continued discussing as they made their way to the train station. It was the day of the UA's sports festival. Some people were nervous, some people were excited, some people were determined, while some people didn't give a flying pig. The entire students of UA came to school having mixed feelings before being given a pep talk by their respective homeroom teacher before heading out to their respective locker rooms to change into their P uniform, and Class 1A were no different. Aizawa could be seen pep talking his students. Aizawa, alright problem children, I want you to go out this classroom into the field with the intention to win this thing no matter how scared or nervous you're feeling. A lot of civilians and pro heroes have their eyes on you, so give them the show of a lifetime. If any of you don't make it to the #1 spot, or at least if all of you don't make it past the first obstacle, I am going to make sure I strangle you with my bare hands. As he said this, he displayed his hands in a strangling motion to get his point across. And it's safe to say they were officially terrified of him. If Aizawa was trying to give them motivation or a reason not to fail, it sure is heck working. Now they have more than enough reason not to lose. No one wants to get strangled by their homeroom teacher. I mean, his hands was twice as big as their head. Aizawa, now go out there and show them what Class 1A is made of, and don't forget to break a leg in the process. Class, heck yeah. For some reason that last part was concerning to Ida. So now Class 1A had already finished putting on their PE uniforms and were now waiting to be called out into the arena. The students were trying to calm down their nerve while some were so determined they looked like they could take on All Might himself, even though they are going to get their butts kicked 6 ways to Sunday. Jairu and Tsu were talking. Uraraka was looking not so Uraraka. Aoyama was practicing how he is gonna pose in front of the hundreds of camera that will be there. Momo was trying to calm her nerves. Todoroki was looking like he wants to make a declaration of war to the main protagonist of this story. Bakugo, as usual, was looking like someone told him there was pee in the cereal he ate this morning, and Namari was standing off to the side, arms crossed, and with an unreadable expression. It was safe to say Izuku was a nervous wreck. He sat down trying to calm his nerves. He had been doubling down on the training plan he got from Nijire, and he had started to notice some improvement, but it was not enough. He only started training a few days before the sports festival, and that short PRD of time wasn't enough to improve his fitness, but it did help to gain a bit of stamina. He looked at Namari in the corner of his eye. Throughout last week he had been trying to talk or converse with her, but she just get irritated or straight up ignore him, but no matter what happened he still persisted. He was wondering if she was nervous or excited. He was about to go talk to her when a half-freezer, half-oven intercepted him. Oh hey Todoroki. Izuku was interrupted. Todoroki, honestly speaking Midoriya, I'm the strongest here. Strongest my foot, when I'm here, I'll kick your butt in 10 seconds flat. Bakugo roared as Kaminari and Shiro were restraining him. Todoroki ignored the combustible team yelling at him and continued with what he was saying. Like I was saying, I'm the strongest here, but somehow you managed to keep coming up on top. I just want to say that I'll beat you and come out on top in this sports festival, Midoriya. This is my declaration of war. The atmosphere became tense with everyone glancing anxiously at the two. Kirishima quickly came in to defuse the situation before it escalate. Kirishima puts his hand on Todoroki's shoulder and said, Hey buddy, there's no need for this, we are all friends. Todoroki shrugged his hands off his shoulder. I'm not here to make friends. Yes, Todoroki, you are strong, but everyone is aiming for the top with everything they've got, and I'm going to do so with everything I've got. With clenched fist and determination burning in his eyes, Izuku proclaimed. Guys, it's time to head out into the arena, Ida ordered. The students collected themselves and went out through the tunnel. Izuku wished Tor good luck. Izuku, good luck Hagakure-san. Toru, you too Midoriya. Izuku tried to wish Namari good luck. Izuku, gee good luck Namari. Whatever. She seethed. Present Mike, pay attention you swarm of mass media, this year's rodeo of adolescence you all love is back again. Present Mike introduced Class 1A in style as they entered the arena. Present Mike, these are the stars, the students with enough bars to brush off a villain attack like it was nothing with their steely willpower. Welcome Class 1A's hero course. The crowd went wild and camera began to flash as the students of Class 1A entered the arena. Some of the students were nervous having all this attention directed towards them while some were drinking it in. Present Mike introduced the rest of the first-year classes. Present Mike, now these students haven't gotten any screen time but they are no joke. Give it up for Hero Course Class 1B. Oh. The crowd cheered unenthusiastically. Present Mike, here comes the Gen Ed course. Gen Ed student came out to the arena. Present Mike, alright, let me hear you make some noise for the support course, Class 1D, 1E and 1F. The support course student came out in the arena with the intention of advertising or displaying their inventions. Present Mike, now for the last but definitely not the least, here comes the business course, 1G, 1H and 1I. The crowd claps as the business course students made their way to the arena. Midnight made her way to the stage as she started her role in this event as the host. Alright ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the player pledge. she said, waving a rather suspicious-looking WHP in the commentator's booth with the UA staff. Aizawa? Does she really have to bring that with her? She is going to scare the children. Nizu, there was nothing I could do. She said she is not going to do it if she doesn't bring it with her. Back to the event. For the player pledge, Katsuki Bakugo will be representing Class 1A. Midnight announced. Kaminari, we dead. Ida, Bakugo, please don't do anything to tarnish the image of Class 1A. Bakugo, with no intentions of upholding the image of Class 1A, walked to the stage with saggy breaths, hands in pocket, and collected the mic from Midnight. Bakugo, I just want to say, you all are extras and I'm going to win this thing. You all will make wonderful stepping stones for me to use to get to the top. Midnight saw what Bakugo was about to do and tried to stop him, but it was too late. Midnight, Katsuki no. Bakugo dropped the mic and walked off the stage like a main character after blowing up a factory. There was a loud screeching sound from the mic after he dropped it, and some people, mostly with heightened sense of hearing, covered their ears. The rest of the first years glared at Class 1A, and Class 1A looked away in shame. Monoma, I always knew Class 1A were arrogant bstardis. Random student, what a bunch of egoistic jerdis. Mina, he did it, he finally did it, he made everyone hate us in less than 2 minutes. Midnight, alright, moving on, we have Izuku Midoriya also representing Class 1A2. As Midnight said that, time slowed for Midoriya. All eyes were on him. Izuku was this close to using Divine Chariot to teleport himself out of that situation. Whether if it was because Midnight was pointing her suspicious WHP at him or having all eyes on him, Izuku was regretting his decision to get out of bed this morning. Meanwhile, his classmates were jubilating because Midoriya will be the one to right Katsuki's wrong and restore Class 1A's reputation back to its former glory. Aoyama, you got this, Monami, go make us look good again. Ida, at last, justice shall be served in regards to our reputation. Tokoyami, may the darkness be with you, Midoriya. Momo, you got this, Midoriya. Kirishima, yeah, go Midori. Bro. Tsu put her index finger below her butt-tom lip, but why did they call Midoriya for the player pledge too? Momo, I think it's because him and Bakugo had the highest score in the entrance exam. Izuku gulped and made his way to the stage. The other first years were watching him like a hawk, waiting for him to make one wrong move. As he got to the stage, he collected the mic from Midnight and gazed at the blob of first years below nervously. I just want to say, everybody is here for one reason or the other. Whether it's to show off your skills or to gain recognition or whatsoever why you are here for, let us give it our best and aim for our goals with the desires that fuels us and the dreams that empowers us to keep on pushing forwards no matter what, because in the end the only difference between a dream and reality is hard work. So my fellow students, let's show them how hard we've worked to come this far and how harder we are willing to work to go even further, and let's show Japan and the world what the next generation of heroes, engineer and businessmen and women UA has to offer by going beyond. Everyone, plus ultra. The first years went wild and the crowd went even wilder. The hate of the other first years towards Class 1A was gone and was replaced with respect. The Class 1A in question were basking in the pride Izuku brought to them because of his speech. He did it, he finally did it. He fulfilled the prophecy of restoring Class 1A to its former glory, Ida said, removing his glasses to wipe the tears of joy that were coming out of his eyes. Namari had a small smile on her face. He reminds me of someone, she thought. Toru looked at Izuku with glee in her eyes. Momo stared at Izuku. Thank you, Midoriya. This was the motivation I needed. Kirishima banged his chest in respect while crying manly tears. Mina was just glad that the hate directed towards her class is done. Thanks to Midoriya, Monoma almost felt bad. Keyword almost. Mei stared at Izuku on the stage, for some reason that held a lot of meaning than it should for her. Then she cheered. Midnight was at the back of the stage, and even though she wasn't participating in the event, she was still moved by his speech. Midnight, that was appealing. Meanwhile, with Aizawa in the commentator's booth, Nizu, it looks like one of your students just made things interesting, Shota. Aizawa, that's my problem child. After Izuku said his speech, he handed Midnight the mic as she gave him a smile and walked off the stage. His legs felt like jelly and his stomach felt like it was upside down. People stared at him with a smile on their faces and his classmates welcomed him with gratitude and joy. As soon as 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐸𝐵 went to his class, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 and 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴 flung themselves at him. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴, that speech was awesome bro, I didn't know you had it in you. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, yeah, thanks for getting us out of that mess 𝐵𝐻𝐻 put us in. Everyone was happy. Well, everyone apart from 𝐵𝐻𝐻. He was beyond mad. There was a reason 𝐵𝐻𝐻 said those things on stage. He knew that the other classes was going to direct their anger and rage towards him and his classmate, and that was the plan. 𝐵𝐻𝐻 can handle himself and take care of anyone that comes after him, but at the same time they will also come after his classmate, and that was what he wanted to happen. 𝐵𝐻𝐻 sees his classmates as his biggest rival and competitors. They were strong and were skilled, that's why they were in class 1A after all, and 𝐵𝐻𝐻 knew it. So by directing the hate of the other students towards his classmate, they will come after them and get rid of the biggest threat and competition to him, then he will just handle the remaining small fries, but no, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 had to ruin that and go cancel his work and get rid of the hate. Midnight called out the representative of every class respectively to come and give their speech. May was the representative for class 1F while 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐴 was the representative for her class, which is class 1E. If the students were motivated before, after 𝐒𝐻𝐻's speech it was like adding fuel to the fire. Midnight, now after the player pledge, we move on to the first event in the sports festival. Here a lot of students drink their tears. The first event is a qualifier to the next event, and for this event the student will compete in an obstacle race. As Midnight said that the whole of class 1A looked at 𝐒𝐻𝐻 in horror, knowing that 𝐒𝐻𝐻 will breeze through the competition giving his quirk. The 𝐒𝐻𝐻 in question liked his lips and bask in the glory. This was too delicious to be true. All that talk about giving it his all flew out the window the moment the wheel landed on the obstacle race. It was like this event was specifically made for his artificial quirk. I mean, all he has to do is to activate his artificial quirk and the deed is done. Midnight, the rules are simple, anything goes as long as you stay in the track. All the first years gathered at the tunnel to begin race, then present. Mike yelled go and the students began running before Shoto encased the entrance out of the tunnel in his ice, trapping the first years inside. One by one the students broke the ice, no pun intended, most of which were from class 1A, and continued the race. Most of them made it out of my ice quicker than I expected. Todoroki thought as he was running. You are going to pay for this, you two in 1B STRD. 𝐻𝐻𝐻 yelled at Shoto as he blasted his way out of the ice and was rapidly gaining on him. Momo created a bow staff and smashed the ice into icicles. Jiraiya blasted the ice with her amplified sound frequency. Kirishima went Rocky mode and punched the ice. Ojiro slammed the ice with his tail. Mina melted it with her acid while Ida performed his reciproburst and kicked the ice into ice shards as Namari just flicked the ice with the tips of her index finger and thumb with her super strength, shattering it, and then transformed into her semi-bat form and took to the sky. Ha, I have outsmart you Todoroki. Slam. Mineta said as a robot's fist slammed into him. Present Mike. Alright folks, it looks like the students have encountered their first obstacle in this obstacle race, Robot Inferno. The students saw massive robots heading for them as they ran. Some avoided the robot while some had no choice but to take it on. 𝐻𝐻𝐻 used his explosions to launch himself into the air over the massive robot's shoulder that was heading for him. Todoroki froze the robot that was coming for him in a position that was unstable. Monoma was about to use the opportunity Todoroki created to pass the frozen robot when Todoroki warned him. If I were you, I wouldn't do that. Todoroki warned as he ran past the unstable robot. You can't tell me what to do, you class 1A some. Monoma retorts with a snarky tone before the robot toppled over and fell on Kirishima, Tetsu and Monoma. Todoroki, I told you so. Kirishima went Rocky mode before it fell on him as Tetsu turned his body into metal before the robot could collapse on him, while Monoma touched Tetsu and copied his quirk before he could get crushed under the weight of the robot. Hey, watch it. Tetsu yelled at Todoroki as he popped out from under the collapsed robot's back. How typical of class 1A, they are entitled brats. Stated the resident 1B's JRK Monoma as he popped out of the robot's back using Tetsu's quirk. It must be nice having that kind of quirk, knowing you are safe from Dange. Slam. Mineta stated as he got slammed by a robot's fist again. Mineta, Oh come on. Uraraka floated the robot for a brief minute before giving her time to pass through it, then releasing it before it slammed down to the ground. Ida just sped through the robot like it was nothing. Aoyama naval lasered his way through the robots. Mina glided on her acid gracefully outmaneuvering the robots. Toru just calmly walks past the robot with maximum invisibility while Namari was still in the air, not paying attention to the chaos happening below her. She was just flying over the obstacle course like it was nothing. Present mic. Alright, the players have made it past the robot junkyard. Now let us see if they can take the leap of fate in the second obstacle, the fall. The students got to the second obstacle to see that it was a canyon. It had a large gap from one side to the other side. The only way to get to the other side of the canyon was through a series of platforms held together by ropes, and just below was a huge drop. Students started crossing the platform or climbing the ropes while some people just flew over to the other side of it. Uraraka used her quirk on herself and floated to the other side of the canyon. Bakugo propelled himself to the other side via his explosion. Todoroki froze a path for himself to the other side. Setsuna amputated different parts of her body and floated them to the other side as Monoma did the same after copying her quirk, while Namari again just flew over everything. Present mic. Wow. The students have already made it past the second obstacle so easily, most of which are from Class 1A. Aizawa, what are you feeding these children? Aizawa. It's not like I threaten to strangle them if they fail or anything. Nizu, say wa. Aizawa. Back to the competition mic. Present mic. Oh right. Now the students are about to enter the third and last obstacle for this round. Will they blow you away, or will they be blown away in the minefield? After the students made it past the canyon with Todoroki and Bakugo taking the lead, they saw a minefield. Now you might be wondering, where is our favorite green-haired protagonist during all of this commotion? Well, he was still in the first obstacle, frolicking with the robots. Skipping, hopping, humming, singing, whistling. You name it. It was like Izuku was taking a walk in the park on a sunny day. He wasn't taking this seriously. That's what people were thinking, but it couldn't be far from the truth, and Class 1A knew that. Sure, he was acting like Alice in Wonderland and he was taking it slow, but that's because he doesn't have to do anything apart from activating his artificial quirk, and sure, he could have teleported to the finish line right from the get-go, but where is the fun in that? Plus, Izuku wanted to have a dramatic entrance when he crosses the finish line. Present mic. What? Why is Izuku of Class 1A taking this competition like a day at the beach? Melissa, who was watching the sports festival from Island with her father, face palms at this. With Aizawa and other staff members of UA in the commentator's booth. Wow, Aizawa, is this what you're teaching your problem children? Nizu asked as he watches Izuku fist bumping a robot and skipping away while humming after teleporting it at the bottom of the ocean. He is no student of mine. Aizawa denies. Nizu, oh, so now it's student, I thought he was your problem child. I said no such thing. Aizawa denies again. Meanwhile, the audience were looking at Izuku as if he was a mental hospital escapee or something. I mean, one minute he gave a motivating speech and the next minute he was acting like he was on a vacation. What is Midoriya doing? Mina asks as she moved her leg backwards to avoid a mine. Have you forgotten what he did in the quirk apprehension test? Momo stated, arms stretch apart to balance herself while avoiding mines. Oh, never mind. Mina replies after remembering. Meanwhile, Todoroki and Bakugo were clawing at each other like rats as they fought for first place like power-drunk men. And Namari wasn't too far off behind, still in the air, while Ida was hot on her trail. Present mic. Now Bakugo Katsuki and Todoroki Shoto are duking it down for first place as Namari Kue is not slacking off behind. As Izuku heard that announcement from present mic, Izuku paused his vacation and with determination burning in his eyes he activated his artificial quirk and teleported a few millimeters to the finish line. Bakugo, who was a few steps to the finish line with Todoroki, all of a sudden saw Izuku in front of them as he ran to the finish line. After Izuku crossed the finish line, he was fake breathing to make it look more dramatic, and then he raises up his hands to signify victory. Silence. That's what there was after Izuku crossed the finish line for the audience watching this from far and beyond. Present mic glasses fell off his face. Bakugo stumbled, giving Todoroki the opportunity to pass him. Because of the shock of Izuku winning the race, Snipe, who was spinning his gun around his index finger, almost shot Cementos accidentally. The bullet just managed to graze the cement quirk user, and for a brief moment Cementos's life flashed before his eyes. Cementos shot Snipe a poisonous glare, to which the gun wielder gave him an apologetic look while putting his gun away. Present Mike, what? Are my eyes betraying me? Izuku Midoriya of the hero course went from 0 to hero just by activating his quirk. What sorcery is this? Is this even allowed? After Mike said that, he shifted his gaze to Midnight for confirmation. Well, I did say anything is allowed as long as you stay in the track, and well, all he did was to use his quirk. Midnight stated, although be it uncertainly. It was more like a question rather than a statement. I'm okay. Everyone, the winner of the first event for the sport festival is Izuku Midoriya. Present Mike yells to the crowd, still processing what just happened. The crowd were confused on how to react. They didn't know whether to cheer or to clap or to stand, but that didn't stop them from going crazy. The audience cheered and hooped and yelled. There was an uproar of standing ovation. As soon as Present Mike announced Izuku as the winner, the students were shocked. After hearing the announcement, Namari had to stop herself from falling to the ground while in mid-air. Ida almost tripped on his own legs midway into his reciproburst. Monoma paused only for his leg to slip on a mine, and he got flung into the stratosphere. In the commentator's booth. After Izuku's ascension from dead last to first place, the staff were stunned. Aizawa's mouth was opened, then he grins like a proud father. I never lost faith in you, my problem child. Nizu stares at Aizawa in disbelief. Oh, so now he is your problem child? I thought he was no student of yours. I said no such thing. Aizawa denies. Nizu played him the footage of Aizawa denying Izuku. Aizawa, that proves nothing. Could it be? Present Mike asked himself as he looked at a notebook in his hands. The Legend of Dadzawa. The elders of the Banha fandom tells of a tale about a being who wakes up from his great slumber in his caterpillar-like sleeping bag every 5,000 years to cater and care for his problematic children in the most unusual ways. Could it be Dadzawa has arisen?